Okay, and we are live. Hello and welcome everybody to the post-show Q&A for the Elgato Create Better event. I'm Phil. I'm going to be one of your hosts today, and next to me I have other side here.
Yeah, I don't know. At some point, we're gonna do like the high five thing. Like it's like my goal. My name is Steggy. How's it going, everybody? And welcome.
Welcome. So, to give you guys a bit of an overview of how this is going to go today, these first 45 minutes to an hour or so, we're going to be joined by two awesome guests. We're going to be talking face cam only, and we're going to be bringing in questions that you guys have. Obviously, there's going to be lots of them. And after that, we'll take a look at some of the other products. So next up will be Wave XLR. Then we'll have the microphone arms and the studio configurator. And I think we also have a cool giveaway. Is that right, Jeff?
That guy right there. We'll show that off a little bit later. I don't know if we tweeted it already, but it's a little cool package. Everything you need to be able to create better. So we'll show that off when the time is right.
Awesome. Okay. So I think, let's get right into it.
So yeah, I guess we'll just kind of start off. I mean, Phil, if you want to start playing like the graphics and stuff, because I can't see the stream right now. So, if you didn't, or actually, no, do we want to just introduce Julian? The guests first. Is that
Absolutely.
what we want
Let's
to do?
do that.
Okay,
Sure.
let's do that. I'm gonna let Phil take this because he's got the control of the stream, so he's gonna
So,
he's gonna take this away.
all good. So first of all, right below me, Rolf, do you want to give some details about who you are and what you do and what your involvement was on the Facecam project?
Yeah, I'm the technical lead for the Facecam project. So I designed the camera, and I also running the entire project basically.
Awesome. And then we also have Julian. You've been a guest on the stream before, so you might be familiar to some, but for those who don't know you, who are you?
Yeah, maybe if you guys came from the premiere we just had, then you saw me there. My name is Julian, general manager here at Elgato. Really excited to launch all these products today, and looking forward to getting and hopefully being able to answer some of your guys' questions that you might have about Facecam specifically right now. We launched a lot of stuff today, but talking about Facecam now, maybe first question off the bat, we're all using Facecam, I think.
Yes, yeah, we're
Yep.
all using Facecam. One thing to note, though, we are all, of course, spread out. So I'm on the west coast of the United States. Jeff is on the east coast. Rolf and Julian are both in Germany. So we're all spread out. Internet is going to affect the quality a little bit. And then obviously the video is being encoded yet again, going out to Twitch and YouTube. We're live on both of those platforms. So that will affect the video quality a little bit.
Yeah, and honestly, it's like we're the other thing to note is that we all have kind of different setups that we're doing right now. So right now I'm using a single key light air for my lighting. I've got some ambient lighting but behind me, obviously, but that's not doing anything here. Meanwhile, like Rolf is just using the brightness of his monitors to kind of just give you an idea of like what the performance of Facecam is in like a dark environment, just like literally just like very little light source as possible. And then if you guys want to talk about your setups as well.
Yeah, Phil, go ahead.
Sure. Yeah. So I've also just got a face cam here. I'm actually using automatic exposure because I have a massive window right in front of me. And so throughout the day, I've got light changes, clouds, sunlight, and everything. And I need Facecam to dynamically adjust the image for me. If I set it to manual mode, eventually I would be too bright or too dark. And so then it would be not good. And so I leave it on auto exposure, and it looks fantastic.
And so you have no lights. You're just using your window, right?
No lights, just a window. Exactly.
Yeah. So it's like if you are using this in like a video conferencing setting, you got your laptop on like the kitchen table or whatever, and you got the sunlight coming in, like that's what it looks like, Meanwhile, me, I'm like the streamer.
So. I'm somewhere in between, I think. So I'm in Munich. It's 10 p.m. here, so it's pitch black, and the only light I have is this key light air coming off the side here. Really, I've got the camera on manual exposure and automatic white balance, but it's maybe something that we can start with about Facecam is this really is a camera built for manual control. And part of the reason we developed Camera Hub specifically for this app is that you can have extremely granular control of Facecam at all time. And if you end up getting a Facecam, I really encourage you to play with Camera Hub, tweak the settings manually. That's how you're going to get the best quality out of this camera. And I think it looks pretty amazing, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, like, I spent a number of years doing just like photography, and then obviously, videography as well. For a long time, I was doing like all the filming for the YouTube channels for Elgato and stuff like that. And so, for me, like, just manual control was always like ingrained in my workflow, and kind of switching over to webcams, because I've kind of used them all, and it's always been like super frustrating for webcams that either one have like completely different interfaces like gain and brightness, and sometimes those values mean different things going from one webcam to another. And then there are some webcams that like are, let's say you're like 75% the way there in auto mode, but then you're like, okay, let me go to manual mode. But then for whatever reason, it just like falls apart as soon as you try doing manual stuff. So like being able to not only like have like a camera that can be tweaked and not like fall apart like you can with Facecam, but then what we did as far as like our software goes, putting those into terms of, ISO and shutter speed versus all these webcam specific terms, for me, that's super helpful. And I think that like for anybody that's new, kind of like looking up online, like Google or YouTube, saying like, how do I like, what do you recommend for video exposure? Like learning the basics, all of those videos and tutorials are going to be talking about these standardized camera terms, because they're not thinking small like webcams. And so to be able to kind of unify those terms with our product and, cameras out there, especially when you can go from our product to, Cam Link with a mirrorless camera, whatever, I think that's really awesome.
And then Rolf, to finalize, what does your setup look like? What have you got going on?
Yeah, I'm also located in Germany, so it's pitch black here. I have no room lights, nothing. The only light source is one monitor here. I have one screen in front of me. For those who are interested, it is about 50 lux currently, which is really low. Yeah, and I've put the exposure on manual exposure. I'm at 1/64th of a second shutter speed, so to get 60 frames a second, and I pushed ISO up to 1200.
Wow. Okay. And then for everyone else who's just joined, if you missed the premiere, I think we should play the Facecam trailer one more time and then go a little bit more into some of the other features of.
Let's play the trailer. It's a great trailer.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Let's do it. All right, and we're back. So that was the Facecam trailer. Very awesome. A quick reminder to everyone, during these next 45 minutes or so, we're going to be talking exclusively about Facecam. So if you have questions for other products, hold them back. We're going to be talking about Wave XLR, the microphone arms, a little bit later. We also have a giveaway that's going to be at 3 p.m. Pacific time, and that will be due to platform limitations only on Twitch. So to enter that giveaway, we'll be posting information in the chat. There'll be a keyword, but that will only be over on the Twitch side.
Wow.
So
Rip if you're watching on YouTube.
yeah.
They don't make it easy.
But
Try.
I think one of the first questions that we have now is from Rackhat, who asks, when will we be able to buy Facecam? I think that's a very, very simple question.
You should be able to buy it right now, actually, on Elgato.com. It should be available, and Facecam retails for $199. So if you're interested, you can pick it up right now. It'll probably ship tomorrow.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Although we did have so much traffic from the premiere that there was kind of a strain on the web servers, which was kind of funny. So if there's the small chance everybody's going to do that right now, Corsair.com is like the backup. You can also order through.
I think
there,
it's up
but
again.
Elgato's
Elgato.com should be up again,
Okay.
so should be all good.
Good.
Awesome. Okay.
Sort of like an awesome problem to have. I feel like that's one of the first time, I don't know, to see that like live as the premiere was going was pretty awesome. Like if everybody just kind of loved what we were showing.
So we have another question here. How many face cams can we use on one machine, on one system? Maybe Rolf, you want to take that
Yeah.
one?
Well, the clear answer is it depends. Well, let me put it this way. We are using uncompressed video as we showed in the trailer. That means if you're running Facecam at 1080p 60, that means around 2 gigabits of video coming in. We're using USB 3. So with a standard USB 3.0 port, which is 5 gigabits per second, it's okay, it's working. If you want to have multiple face cams, you may want to upgrade or use a higher bandwidth USB host or multiple hosts. Like there is USB 3.1 that was 10 gigabits or 3.2 with 20 gigabits. So yeah, then you have plenty of headroom to connect multiple face cams.
Yeah, I would just based on like my testing of just like higher bandwidth cards, period, because yeah, we are dealing with uncompressed video here, which is much higher quality but also a lot more data. So it's more akin to our capture cards that we've been offering for years versus like the webcams that you might have been used to that could even work on like a USB 2.0 source. We're just dealing with like a different level of quality here. And to accommodate for that headroom, if you're using USB 3.0, I would recommend doing separate controllers, because you might have multiple USB ports on a computer, but they might be sharing one controller, which means like the 5 gigabits is being split between everything. And you do need a little extra overhead to make sure everything's working great, especially when you're dealing with real-time devices like webcams or capture cards. So USB 3.0, I would try to keep it to 1 per controller. So then that depends on your computer. Also depends on your expandability. Like if you have extra PCIe ports, you could get USB PCIe cards to expand those, and that gets you extra bandwidth and stuff like that. But as Rolf said, with like USB 3.1 or 3.2, you have a little bit more latitude to kind of expand without having to worry about like the nitty gritty stuff.
So a reminder, guys, if you have questions about Facecam, post them in the chat on YouTube or Twitch, and we'll get to those. I did see one earlier, not related to Facecam, but just wanted to address it really quickly. I'm indeed not using a Wave microphone. I'm using a RE20 microphone, but I'm using it with Wave XLR, which we also just announced. I believe, Jeff, you're also using a Wave XLR?
I am, yes, with the SM58 microphone. So yeah, just, we decided, hey, we're going to show off, like we're going to use Facecam, we're going to use Wave XLR, some of the newer products, but then also just kind of showcase a mix of Elgato products being here, because with Wave XLR, it's not just limited to just our microphones. So like if you have one already, now you have some awesome new features to go along with it.
A very subtle SM58 to add.
I saw the opportunity. I went for it to be a little extra.
Yeah. Awesome. Let's see. We have another question here. Can we control the aperture?
You want to take this, Rolf?
Yeah, the aperture is fixed. We have a f2.4 lens in there, and it's fixed. You cannot change it. No.
Yeah, I mean, let's maybe talk about the architecture of,
Yep.
of
Yeah.
Facecam for a minute. I think, Phil, you have supporting material. We can just start on the outside and work our way in. So on the outside, there's an all glass lens. This is a custom lens that we designed specifically for Facecam. It's an ultra low distortion lens, which is really important. You know, something we noticed with other webcams is that they promise a very wide field of view, but when you actually utilize it, you get the sort of fisheye effect, which we wanted to avoid. So field of view here is 83 degrees. And that is, you know, the real field of view. No distortion whatsoever. And then when you start moving inside the camera, there's a Sony image sensor. And this image sensor is about twice the size of the typical sensor you'd find in a 1080p webcam. So it's a pretty good step up in quality. There's other stuff in there like a custom heatsink, so the thing can operate 24/7 without getting hot. And then on the back, you have a USB-C connector. And then you really have true uncompressed video going from Facecam to your computer. And that's a fairly big difference to other webcams, especially webcams that offer 1080p 60, where video is usually going to be encoded, and you're going to get a format like most commonly motion JPEG, which means you have an additional encode and decode step before you can work with the video in, for example, OBS, which I'm sure a lot of you guys use. And the result of all of this is combined with Camera Hub for manual control, you can get some really good looking video out of this webcam. And we think it's a pretty good step between kind of your average webcam and really upgrading to a mirrorless or professional camcorder, what have you, setup, which, by the way, isn't going away, right? We have been selling or making Camlink since 2017, and we will continue to make Camlink. And I think if you want the very best quality, pairing Camlink with a DSLR or a professional camera is absolutely going to look the best. But Facecam for especially, you know, streaming on Twitch looks pretty amazing.
So I think I can expand on that a little bit just for one example, as I was showing you before we went to the stream. So first off, to talk a little bit on the sort of malleability of Facecam because of that uncompressed feed. Like having that uncompressed video lets you do more to kind of tweak the picture without the image falling apart like you would with a compressed video signal. There's also using less resources and stuff, but like you're able to really kind of push the limits. And, you know, there's some great software additions that you can use with webcams to really push the limit. So I'm using an app right now called NVIDIA Broadcast, which allows me to put a little slight background blur, which you can only really tell that it's software when I start moving my finger around the Elgato logo. That's about the only way that you can like tell that there's anything going on. And so I'm going to just disable it really quick so you can see like this is like how deep the depth of field is when you're disabling that feature. But I want to show one camera that I have connected to Camlink just to kind of give like a background on like how far we've come. So this right here is a Canon R800. This is about a $200 to $230 camcorder. And this is what we used to use at PAX East and TwitchCon events to live stream from our pods. So like when we first started using these, this was like such a huge step up over the webcam. So people were like, wow, this is so great. And they were going and getting Camlinks right away. And people are still buying these R800 camcorders. But like going from that to this, and you're looking at like less price for the webcam and you don't need a Camlink to do it. It's like kind of crazy how far like you can really push the envelope when you're kind of like focusing on something, if that makes sense, you know.
I think it makes sense.
It does indeed. Yes. Another question that came up, and I think this can blend in really nicely with the quality, is what is the behavior in low light conditions? And I think to add to that, maybe we can talk a little bit about the sensor in Facecam, because that obviously plays a huge role in how the video looks and how it comes in and how it's processed.
To add, if you want a real live example right now low lighting, Rolf is sitting in a pitch black room with only the monitor as his single light source. So that's about as low light as you can get.
Unfortunately, Rolf's, I think we're having a little bit of internet trouble. The video quality is a little bit lower. Again, it's coming all the way across the world. But yeah, you should still be able to make out. I mean, you can see, details in his face, and it's bright. You can see details in the background as well.
I mean, if you want, I can turn off my light and just show you tweaking my stuff to like real time to like overcome zero lighting.
Sure.
Yeah, we can do that.
So what I'm going to do is a little pro tip: if you don't own Streamlights, use light mode. Like if you're using Twitter or if you're using, OBS, just switch it to light mode, because that's actually going to give you a better light source than if you were in dark mode. Like it's a little, free way to kind of do that. So I'm going to turn off my
pro streamer
light.
tip: don't use your monitor as your only light source, regardless.
Yeah, but I mean, like, tips on a budget, right?
Yep.
All right, so I've turned this off right now, and so things are a little bit dim. So I have the one light coming from here. This side is more dark, so that's not really a good light source. So I'm going to switch over to Camera Hub here, and I was at 1/225th of a second, which was unnecessary for that. So this is me at 1/60th of a second. I literally didn't even change the ISO at all. So I could actually lower that back when I turn this light off. And so then this is the kind of results you can get with it. And again, I'm just going to turn off the background blur just so you can see, like, this is just what everything looks like as it stands. And then I can actually lower the ISO if I want to. And what's kind of nice is like that ambient light behind me is really popping through with this light off, and like I could play like this, you know what I mean? The thing to keep in mind is if you have a game on your main monitor and like it flashes red, your whole face is going to turn red. But like I can also crank up. That's really, really bright. But like you definitely have that latitude here for low light situations with Facecam. So again, just my monitor on like a new tab page right now.
As Steggy has this up, does anybody have questions around the software? So what you can do, what's unique about it? Anything you guys want to dive deep on?
Well, I think we should cover one unique thing that the Premier mentioned it, but I think it might be a little hard to realize just how impactful it can be, and that's the flash memory on Facecam. So Facecam has flash memory on board, and it can store the settings that you configure to it right on the camera. Now, you might be wondering why that's important. Couldn't I just save those in software? Don't I configure those in OBS or any other software? And they just stick. And the problem has been historically that they don't stick. So if you restart your computer or you open OBS again, or any other software for that matter, the settings change because for whatever reason they aren't saved. And with Facecam, once they're on Facecam, those settings actually become the new default. So even if a program were to say reset the settings, they are still what you had actually set them to in Camera Hub, which is awesome. So all those issues of, well, you just open your software and now it's over bright because it changed something, you don't have that anymore. You can even connect Facecam to a new computer. So you could go from, let's say you have a desktop streaming station in your room and you want to take it to the kitchen to do a cooking stream. You can take your Facecam with you and those settings will be saved. And that's something that is extremely unique, and I believe might be especially,
yeah,
it's absolutely a first in a webcam, not something that you would see really anywhere else. And the result, or why we did this, is because we've been in this space for so long. We can see the issues that you guys run into when you try to use these other products. And so when building Facecam, that was really important to us. It's like, what can we do? Obviously we want to make a great webcam, great quality, but what are those little extra steps we can take to make an even better product?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like there's so many people on our team that are actual content creators, whether it's for like personal projects like, Twitch or YouTube, or like a lot of us have also worked on the Elgato YouTube videos. So like we've been boots on the ground to like the actual process of creating content, and sort of, you know, our whole philosophy is just like pointing out pain points in creating content, and then just thinking like, is there a way we can solve that? And so, you know, we thought that this was the best. I mean, like, you know, in our intro video that's going to go up today, we kind of cover that like the half step solution could have been to just, you know, have your app remember your settings. But then there's this weird like, hey, you know, Windows is trying to do this to your camera, but then your app's doing this. Which one do you want to do? And sometimes the apps can screw up and everything. It's not the best experience in the world. And if you're trying to like connect your camera from one to the other, it'd be nice to just be able to have those carry with you without having to download the application all over again. And so having that built-in memory allows you to do that. So like I can unplug my face cam, I can travel with it, and then I can plug it into my laptop, and I'll have like the same kind of like, you know, saturation and contrast levels that I know work well for like me, you know? And so that's like super helpful.
All right. We have another question that ties in perfectly with this, which is how does Keylight integrate with Facecam? Will the light auto adjust?
So let me take that one. So the light will not auto adjust, but what we are giving you access to, which I think is also a first for a webcam, is we're giving you a real-time ISO readout from the Sony sensor in the webcam, which is actually an incredibly important piece of information to optimize your setting. So, you know, in layman's terms, if the ISO is high, you need more light. If the ISO is low, that's good. And so as you're reading this value in real time in Camera Hub, if you have an Elgato light, any one, a Keylight Air, ring light, you can just open the Control Center app and immediately adjust your brightness to optimize your ISO value. And you can do all of this from the comfort of your chair, right, with your live preview on your monitor. So it's just a really natural way to tweak your settings, and works really, really well. That Sure, in the future, we could also open up the possibility for the two apps to talk to each other. So Camera App can tell Control Center, hey, the ISO is really high. Can you crank up the brightness of this light? And you can then probably just put that on auto mode.
There's also some, I think, Rolf, I don't want to put too much out there, but you had sent me some, you know, we're always thinking about other ways in which we can help you get a better image quality. And Rolf, you had been experimenting with some other tools that we can or that we might be integrating around like white balance and color temperature and those sorts of things.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Besides the settings for exposure, we also think that white balance is very important. So white balance basically means that neutral colors like grays and whites really look neutral, and that in general the colors are correct. For example, it could be that if the color temperature is set wrong, that your entire image is too orange or too blue. To check that, high-end video editing systems like Final Cut, etc., Adobe Premiere, have the option to correct the white balance, but after you have recorded it. So if you want to do this live, you need a white balance test chart, and then you want to know if that test chart really looks okay. Like, yeah, I just happen to have one here. That's kind of a test chart, and we are currently working on tools that you can do real-time measurement if the gray that is displayed on the webcam video is really neutral. And that's one of the tools Phil was talking about.
So yeah,
So
Facecam
really,
it's going to grow
it's
and
all
evolve.
about manual control. That's
Yeah.
really the
Yeah.
story here. It's almost like a baby deal, baby mirrorless or something before you upgrade to the real deal. But you're working with the same terminology, and you're working with effectively the same functionality, which is really nice.
Yeah, I mean, like the you know, when I've used other webcams before, like it's like the right tab of the UVC menu where it's like, I think it just calls it exposure, and it's like -5, -6, -7. And like that affects your shutter speed. And like you can notice it when you get down to like the 1/20th of a second where you start to look like a flip book. But like, you know, there's like weird fine lines between it's just like, am I getting like if you're using a 60 FPS webcam, it's like, am I actually getting 60 FPS? But it's like with here, I know that I'm shooting at 1/64th of a second. So like I know I am getting true 60 FPS. Whereas if I went to 130, 132 of a second and I drop my ISO, this is just 30 FPS right here. It might be showing up as a 60 FPS source like through everything, but because of these settings, I know that I'm only getting 30 FPS because of my shutter speed. So it's incredibly valuable to know. And then just being able to see my ISO readout here, which like to me makes like perfect sense of like, okay, 300. I think what's the max range of our ISO? Is it 1600 or something on here?
No, 6400.
64. Okay, yeah, that's high. Yeah, so I know that like 300 in the grand scheme of things is like relatively low, and so I'm like, okay, my lighting, like it's not bothering me because it's like, you know, that's the thing. Like when you're trying to do lighting, you don't want to like set your light to 100%. You know, especially if it's like direct, it'll just be blinding you. So you're trying to find that like balance between having the light be pleasing to your eyes while also keeping the ISO as low as possible, so you don't have as noisy of an image.
All right. And then we had a question, the lens cover that we see in the trailer, is that a privacy shutter or is it just covered for packaging purposes?
That is a privacy cover.
Yeah, that
It is
is
a privacy cover.
a full-on privacy cover.
It just clips on, clips off. When you're not using it, I would suggest just place it on top of Facecam. Let it rest there until you need it again.
Yep. And that
What, you
will
don't wanna just
block
lose it like I do?
everything. I guess another thing that could lead into that is, as you guys may or may not have noticed, Facecam does not have a microphone on it. And maybe Julian, you want to talk a little bit about why Facecam doesn't have a microphone?
Yeah, well, the short answer is really simple. I mean, mics and webcams suck. That's the gist of it. And you know, we've been doing this for a while. I've yet to meet a creator in my 10 years of doing this that used the microphones built into their webcam. So it just seems like a lost cause, and physically it's never going to work really well because the microphones are always going to be too far away from you as a speaker. They're never going to sound better than, you know, even your AirPods if you have some, or your gaming headset, or whatever you have access to. Then the next step up, of course, a dedicated microphone. We decided to just leave it out altogether and just focus on optics, knowing that basically none of you guys would ever use the mics in a webcam anyways.
As somebody who has actually used a webcam mic in a YouTube video, this was 11 years ago. Don't judge me. I was new. I didn't know any better. I will never go back. It was awful, especially that model that I was using, because like it wasn't just like bad quality, but there would be like scratching, like, you know, nails on the chalkboard type. Like not it was like worse than peaking. I don't know. It was awful. You know, so never again. As speaking from experience.
Let's see. We have another good question here. How does Facecam interact with green screen? Is more or less light needed compared to other cameras to create a good chroma key?
Well, I mean, like it's gonna work fine. I mean, just you want to use lighting when you're using a green screen. It's not like you can magically not need lighting when you're using Facecam in order to get a good chroma key. What I would say about Facecam is that because of the uncompressed 1080p 60 FPS, you are getting that cleaner feed that's got less artifacting, that you're able to chroma key out cleaner. It's like better edge detection basically.
I was going to ask actually for Rolf, is that something that applies here? Is that because we use a fully uncompressed, essentially image pipeline here, does that, you know, help with something like chroma keying?
Yeah, it basically helps. It improves the ability to key the video. Yeah.
Yeah. So you get less like edge fringing and whatnot, which you get into very technical details about chroma subsampling and all this fun stuff, but it can, yes, it does have an effect. Like Jeff mentioned, though, you still do need good light. I mean, if you're in a completely dark room, you know, it's not going to work well. You want good light on you. You want the screen to be well lit. You know, if you have something like an area light, maybe a room light above you, you know, something like that is always good to have.
I think we had a question around Facecam and Stream Deck. So
Oh yeah.
Maybe Phil, you want to talk a little bit about how the two can work with each other?
Absolutely. So yeah, our Facecam settings adjustable from Stream Deck, and the answer is yes. So we actually are launching today a Facecam plugin, which we work together on with Bar Raider, who, if you guys have a Stream Deck, you probably know his name. He makes a ton of awesome plugins, and he spent some time working on this Facecam plugin, which can control all the basic settings that you might want. So some fun ones are zoom, where you can just zoom in. So if you've ever seen like the dramatic, what is it, like dramatic gopher, right? Like the dun dun dun. You can do that kind of effect with your face cam. Now, unfortunately, I don't have it set up. My Stream Deck XL, which I'm using, is full of the keys to control the stream here. But if someone has that, I don't know if they do. Maybe Jeff, do you have that set up? You could show that.
You could probably install it as we're
Yeah.
talking. But yeah, I mean, the zoom thing, what's nice about it is when you pair it with a multi-action, you know, you can have it basically automate those steps for you as it zooms in and zooms back out. You don't have to press the button multiple times. So that's kind of nice. Another nice thing I would say is actually the ability to just reset everything to default. So
Yep.
earlier we talked about Facecam as flash memory on board, so you can save a new default profile onto the camera itself. Now, if any app, actually the one that seems to be most notorious here is the native Windows camera app, starts messing with your webcam settings, you can just push a button on Stream Deck and reset it back to what you saved onto flash memory, which is really nice to just with one button press get back to the profile that you want. And then yeah, side story, it's quite cool that you know, we worked with Bar Raider to actually build this plugin. So someone that's been developing Stream Deck plugins based on the Stream Deck SDK that we launched in 2019. This has actually been really awesome to work with him on that.
Yeah,
So-
so I have it downloaded right now, so I'm just playing with the different values on the zoom one just because I feel like that's the easiest. Oop, I need to click away actually, I think.
Yeah, you have a couple options there. You can do more of a tap, and every time you tap on the key, it you know, it zooms in by a certain amount, or you can have a set. So if you just want it to go from all the way zoomed out to all the way zoomed in, you can do that. And then if you forget what value it's at, or you want to zoom out all the way, you can just hit reset. And that works for any of the values, so like contrast, saturation, even
Yeah.
sharpness. So if you want, if you play around with it to create some sort of effect, then you can just hit reset and it'll go back to whatever the
Let me-
default values are.
You can do fun stuff, you know, if
So let me-
you just
let me-
set the saturation to 0 with a key, you know, sad song,
Yeah,
get black and white.
exactly. There we go. There, Jeff's got it. So, you know,
Yeah.
dramatic
There we go.
staring.
Just need like
Um,
the crop, like the
And
you know.
and
like
I
in a
think
cinema movie,
you know,
like
it's worth
smash.
mentioning the setup process here. I think you just downloaded that plugin, right? The Stream Deck
Yeah,
plugin.
I literally just
So
went to the app store.
The setup
the
from
plugin store.
downloading the plugin for Facecam from the Stream Deck store to having it working was like 20 seconds live on stream, right? So it's really easy to set up.
It's actually all
Yeah,
automatic
I
too.
mean,
When
I'm
you
like-
set up the keys, you don't even need to configure it. It just knows that you have a face cam connected to your computer, and then it immediately controls that. So you don't need to like select a device or anything like that, you know. And that's really, I mean, that's at the core of all of our products. When we talk about the Elgato ecosystem, is it all just meshes and it all just works together in an extremely easy way. So something as simple as this is, you know, just
Yeah,
shows
so like
how
if
that works.
so if I just go here, and so like there's three things. So there's set face cam, adjust face cam. So like, you know, if I do adjust face cam, then you just select the property. So let me do, you want to do sharpness, I guess, and we'll do plus 10 for sharpness.
It's unfortunately going to
And
be, I just
then-
need to say, it's going to be a little bit hard on stream to see, just because the
then-
video
okay,
quality is a
should
little
I-
bit low, but that's
should
okay.
I do
zoom. Or the brightness.
All right, yeah. Let me just delete everything again just to show how I set it up. Okay, I'll just we'll
While
zoom 'cause that's the
Steggy
easiest.
is working on this, let me ask Chad a question. If you watched the premiere earlier, what did you think? Did you think it was pretty good, or what was general sentiment on the premiere? We worked pretty hard on it, so I hope you at least some of you liked it.
I give Brito so much credit because she had like a 3-minute straight scene that she had to nail like 100%. No prompt or anything. Like
Yeah.
she
Not
cut this.
not to one up her, but my entire thing was done without a teleprompter. It's a pain in the ass.
Oh yeah. When they're like, oh yeah, we're not gonna cut you out at all. I'm like, all right, I'm using a prompter for this. It's just easier, just for my
Biggest
how much I like rely on it for YouTube. I'm like, yeah,
biggest learning, man. Get a teleprompter when you're trying to
for
remember your
sure.
lines. Everyone's like, smile more, smile more. I'm trying to
Yeah.
remember my lines. Damn it.
So Brito cut together. I don't know if we should post this later, but like she had like this 3-minute video where all it was like, thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Jeff. Because her segment was right after mine. And it was that phrase for 3 minutes straight. But yeah, so if you guys saw me setting that up, so like when you drag the adjust face cam action here, all you're doing is just choosing your property and then you choose your step size. That means how big of a step do you want this setting to take when you press the key. So if you choose 5, that's going to be kind of more stark versus like if I do -1, it's like a little bit more gradual. You know what I mean? And if I actually move this out of the way,
And can
you
you
can
actually press
see.
and hold, Jeff?
Yes, it's not
Okay.
like it's not like 30 FPS smooth or anything like that. Maybe
Mm.
in the future, I have no idea, but like you can certainly do this. And then when you do the set, when you drag the action on there again, you just choose the property and then you just set the value you want. So this is zooming all the way back, and then this is zooming in all the way in, and then so again, and my entire face is just covered by this thing. But like
I think we also had a
now I can go
question
back
about
to.
background removal and NVIDIA broadcast. And then Phil, we launched a bunch of other stuff today as well. So at
We
what
did,
point?
yes. So yeah, we're gonna keep talking about Facecam just a little bit longer here, and then just for maybe another 15 minutes or so, and then at that point we're gonna dive right into Wave XLR and some of the other products that we have. But there's just you guys have tons of questions about Facecam, and unfortunately we won't be able to get to all of them. I think Jeff, you're using NVIDIA Broadcast right now. Is that right?
Not at the moment. Let me turn it back on. Boom. Yeah. So basically, just the way that the physics work with like camera sensors and lenses is like when you're dealing with like even though face cam sensor is like twice the size of like a normal webcam, when you compare that against like a 35 millimeter, like a full frame, like mirrorless camera, or even like an APS-C one, it hardware only, you can't get that background blur like you can get with like an expensive lens and a mirrorless camera. But with the uncompressed video, you can get a really convincing look with software background blur. So we're actually going to have a video coming out this week or next week on basically tips to make your webcam look like a DSLR. So basically the tips that I'm showing, like basically the video shows how to get an image like this for your webcam. And it's not just for face cam, but like one of the key points is whatever baseline you start off with, the better baseline you start off with, the better your result is. So like when you start off with a great webcam like Facecam, your results are going to be better, especially because that uncompressed video will get you better edge detection for things like whether you use a green screen in order to fake a background blur effect, or if you're using an app like NVIDIA Broadcast, like I'm using right here. And so I haven't tried these other, I'll just do like background removal. I'm not as big a fan of background removal, just because like you can, it doesn't work quite as well as background blur. But you can still certainly do it. I think that if I were to do background removal, I would turn off the lights because I think that those throw off that kind of stuff. But with background blur, whatever kind of edge stuff, it's like way more smoothed out. And so that's like the best performing feature of that software. But
yeah, the blur looks pretty awesome.
Yeah, and honestly, like, so if you don't have an NVIDIA graphics card, especially because those are a little difficult to get nowadays, like if you happen to go with some other brand, because you need an RTX card for this. So depending on what kind you have, we are going to be showing you how to do this same kind of effect using a green screen as well, which is, you don't need, like, green screens are much cheaper than a graphics card nowadays. So if you have a green screen, or if you're in the market, like if you're like considering to get one, that's another option that works really well.
So we have another question here. Are you able to use other hardware for Facecam or other Elgato software? Do you need the hardware?
For the Camera Hub software, yeah.
For Camera Hub, yeah, Camera Hub today, as it launches today, only works with Facecam. We plan to build it out to support other Elgato camera inputs, right? So the next ones would be CamLink, CamLink Pro, Epoch Cam. We've got a lot of webcam options actually, and then we'll see where we go from there. I mean, usually what we'd like to do is launch this stuff and then get your guys' feedback on what direction you want us to take it in, and maybe as a general comment for the software. Today's day zero for us, and for sure we have already a pretty aggressive roadmap for things we want to build, and we're looking forward to your feedback on things you would like to see. Absolutely.
Yep. Let's see.
I just figured I'd show it off a little bit as he was talking about it, because I have an extra one here just to show, like, this guy is a chonk. Like, this is not like this lens element is huge.
And as a reminder for the lens element, I mean, there are, and maybe Rolf, you can speak to this a little bit. There are 8 pieces to this lens, and something we call out is that it's all glass. Maybe you can speak a little bit to why glass, and is that different from other webcams?
Yeah, it is different. All glass is a kind of quality for a webcam, because the other alternative is to use plastic lenses, which is much cheaper, I have to admit. But there are some issues with plastic, not only in terms of optics, but also in terms of temperature. For example, if you want to operate your webcam for several hours a day, plastic lenses tend to increase your distortion or reduce the quality when they get warm. That doesn't happen with glass lenses. So the temperature limit for a glass lens is much higher. Also, there are it's much better feasible to have low dispersion lenses, for example, that improves the chromatic aberration, which is the colors being shifted in the image, and you can prevent that with a special kind of glass used. That's a few of the advantages a glass lens has.
Yeah, you'll notice that on all of our cameras here, there's very low distortion, even at the edges. You can see here I've got some straight lines, and they are, let's see if I can get an angle there.
Same
they
thing
are
for-
straight.
Yeah, I mean, I've got that test chart up behind me, which
Yeah.
is, if there was any distortion, that's where you would really see it.
Yeah, so we're gonna have some videos that show, like, basically this point of view that has these frames that really show the distortion that other cameras can get. And, like, the problem is, like, yeah, you really throw away just like the integrity of the picture when you're on that. And it's like, I know that there are certain people that, like, because I when I'm looking up, like, field of views and, like, what are people trying to look for them for, they're like, oh, I want to do like 2 people on one screen. I've used the kind of cameras that have like the wide field of views, but they're like really fisheye. You do not want to be like on this side of the screen, because you're going to look like a funhouse mirror. It does not look good. It's not flattering. And so, like, it's one of those things that you have to keep in mind when you're doing your use case. So we're having a video come out in the next week or so about field of views and things to consider. Because there is this kind of thing where it's like, you look at specs online and you automatically think bigger equals better. Like, when you think like 4K cameras versus like 1080p cameras, there's a big difference in a 4K 30M JPEG picture that, there's also, better or worse implementations of those as well, versus an uncompressed 1080p signal, right? And so, like, that isn't always, like, you can't always go by the pure numbers. And when you consider like going for the really warped wider angle stuff, if you ever want the focus on you versus like your room, because these lenses are prime lenses, which means you can't zoom in and out. You either have to physically move your camera forward and back to change your field of view or your perspective, or you have to digitally zoom. And so if I show myself digitally zooming here, so this is our our native field of view here. And so if I want to zoom more on myself, you do this slider. And so this is 2 times field of view. However, the problem is, if I think my math would be correct, when you're doing 2 times field of view, you're having your resolution because you're throwing away half your pixels. So this 1080p webcam now becomes a 720p webcam, if my math is correct for the times 2. Obviously getting this close, nobody needs to get that close. So like you would probably do like more like 1.3 times. So you lose like a little bit of resolution, but it's not really a huge deal. However, if you have a webcam that like starts out like this and you're just trying to get it to like somewhere like here, you're not zooming at 1.3 times. You're zooming at like the 1.8, 1.9 times. So if you ever want situations where you want the focus on yourself, your 1080p webcam is becoming a 720p webcam, essentially.
Yeah. And I saw a question in chat around whether we're using Facecam, and we're all 4 of us are using Facecam to maybe reiterate with very different setups. So Phil's got he's got only natural light coming onto him from a window. Jeff's got a little bit more of a studio setup going on, and then Rolf and myself are in Germany, so it's pitch black outside. I've got a key light air coming from the side, and Rolf is actually only lit by the monitor in front of him. So we've got a bunch of different lighting setups going on here, but we're all using Facecam. Absolutely, it'd be kind of sad if we just launched this camera and none of us were using it.
So quick reminder for everyone before we move on to just a couple more questions before I want to let you guys go, because I know it's late over there. We are doing a giveaway around 3 p.m. Pacific time. So in about an hour and 15 minutes or so, Steggy's got that box there. It's got some pretty cool stuff in there. It's like
it's also a pretty cool box.
It is a cool box.
It's worth it just for the box.
Yeah. So if we can see here.
Yep, it's visible, sort of.
Hold on, let me turn off the broadcast here.
While you do that, I do need to mention that due to certain platform limitations, this is only happening on Twitch. So if you are watching on YouTube and you can stick around for another hour and 15 minutes, head over to twitch.tv/Elgato, and then here you'll be able to enter the giveaway. And we'll have more details on how that works in a little bit. So yeah,
yes.
you get
so
a full starter kit.
Yeah, so this case comes with the brand new Stream Deck Mark II. So I can take this out here to show you got the new design back and everything like that. You of course got Facecam in the middle, and then you've also got the award-winning Wave 3 microphone, which is honestly a phenomenal microphone. Like the reason why I chose this is because if I couldn't be extra and choose something I like the style of, then I was just going to use the Wave because I like the quality of that better than everything.
So we had a pretty fundamental question here, which I think is a great one, and that is, can you mount R-Smooth asks, can you mount Facecam on a different arm, like just any arm for that matter? The answer to that is yeah.
Yeah, Facecam's got a standard 1/4 inch thread on the bottom, so it mounts on basically anything, and it works perfectly with our multi-mount system. So I actually, in front of me, I've got this crazy setup where I've got a multi-mount, and then I've got a flex arm going out with a Sony ZV-1 connected to a cam link. Then I've got Facecam on a solid arm, and then below that I've got an iPhone running Epoch Cam also connected to a solid arm. So I can test all of our different webcam options in one multi-mount configuration, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, so this is the webcam itself without the desktop stand on there. So again, that's just 1/4 inch. So this will work on so many different things. It'll work on it'll work on anything with a 1/4 inch jack.
You could even use the new mic arm if you wanted to reposition it.
I was gonna say that, but I actually don't. I wouldn't recommend that too much, just because this is very light. So I think that even with the weight, it might not meet it. I have to test that a little bit more.
Yeah,
I was like stopping myself, and I'm just like, Phil's gonna say it.
I'm laughing because I'm getting heat from our internal Slack. Apparently, I'm skipping questions, and I'm not supposed to do that. Phil's the MC, so I'm
no, it's okay.
I'm gonna shut up now.
Here's another good one, and I think this might be a great way to kind of end the Facecam discussion. But could Facecam be applied into office meeting rooms where it's like there's like 3 to 5 meters away from the camera, or will the capture quality be affected? So that's one thing
That's
we
a
also
great
haven't
thing that we didn't
touched
talk about.
on is
Yeah.
basically the focus of face cam. So yeah, who wants
Yeah.
to take this one?
I mean, I could talk about it, I guess, a little
Go
bit, just
ahead.
because I've been doing so much testing with it. So, essentially, face cam is a fixed focus camera. What that means is that like it's tuned to a specific focus distance, and then when you pair that with the lens's aperture, you have what's known as a depth of field, or like a focus range. And so, basically, when you're setting your focus point to like any certain distance, there's a certain amount of distance before and after that point that are in focus, right? So if you've ever seen like the fancy cameras with like the super blurry background, if you like lean forward or whatever, you might be out of focus because that depth of field is really shallow. However, with webcams, because they're smaller sensors, you actually have a much deeper depth of field. So you can actually see, like, in the preview, you can see the waves of the wave panels. Like you can actually see like the design on them pretty clearly. And so while our website and stuff will say that the optimum focus distance for the sharpest quality is between 30 and 120 centimeters, which covers basically all of your desk setup, so you're like this or whatever. What I found during testing is that because Facecam is uncompressed 1080p 60, it's actually super comparable to autofocus webcams when you set them to infinity, because most 1080p 60 webcams on the market are compressed, so MJPEG. And so autofocus webcams with MJPEG versus like uncompressed video with the fixed focus, they end up evening out. So like I can just step back right now. And so like it's probably not
There he
gonna be,
goes.
like, the clearest thing. Like, so like I can turn this on so I can be like a little bit better lit, but like I'm not blurry. It's definitely not as good as when I'm sitting in my seat. But you'll see in our YouTube videos that the performance will be. Oh, you probably couldn't hear me at all.
We could.
So
Yeah,
like
you came
okay.
through a little quiet,
Okay.
but yep.
Chat is asking, imagine having on pants. Imagine people used to wear suits for this kind of stuff, right? I mean, this is where we're at now.
I've swapped to exclusively shorts. It's great. But yeah, so like obviously the quality is better when you're in that optimum focus range, but that doesn't mean that you can't be outside of it. However, like we have a video that's going to be explaining this a little bit more. We actually have a whole slew of content that's coming out over the next week or two, so stay tuned. But basically, when you look at like the side-by-sides of webcams performing when you're standing that far away, realistically they're going to look pretty much the same. You're really only going to see a difference if you switch to a camera with optical zoom, such as Epoch Cam, or a camera or camcorder with Camlink 4K.
Yeah, and to follow that up, honestly, we didn't really see the point of autofocus in a lot of webcams that are on the market today. In fact, more often than not, we just found it to be annoying and turned it off, at which point you might as well optimize the camera to just work perfectly in a fixed focus environment, right?
Yeah, all that focus hunting that you might see on others, where you come into focus and then you get blurry and then your background gets blurry, that will constantly happen. And instead of trying to fight that, and then like Julian said, you just go into the settings, you untick automatic focus, and then you set it to manual. We just decided we'll just go with a fixed focus.
And basically you just don't have to worry about it.
Yep.
Right? Just
Yeah.
get in front of the camera and it's going to always be in focus.
As I was showing stuff here, like this looks like you can see the details on this quite well, at least on my preview, because I don't have any like compression from like the internet, right? So like you can see like, okay, we got the name there, and you can see all that nice little detail. And like if I'm like now I'm touching the lens right now, you know what I mean? So then this is me holding it up. You know what I mean? So like it works and you don't have to worry about it,
Awesome. Rolf, do you have anything to add on the topic of fixed focus?
Yeah, it's basically I can only repeat a few key points. So focus hunting was what we found to be very disturbing. And so I mean it's pretty common. You have something, you want to hold it into the camera and back, and if that is causing you to be unfocused and refocused, that's disturbing your flow. And so yeah, having fixed focus is perfect because you have a very predefined setting here. And so it's easy to just optimize your device, the webcam, for exactly that purpose.
And you also have options like multi-mount. So if it's a little bit too far away or too close, you could use something like a multi-mount together on a weighted base, and then move it closer to you, or use a flex arm kit and move it around. So you have a ton of flexibility there in how you position your face cam because it's also got that 1/4" thread on it. So you can work around, needing it in specific places. So,
All right.
well, awesome. I think we're coming up on our time here.
We've got a lot of other stuff to talk about. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Facecam is pretty
Yeah.
exciting, but we launched a lot of other stuff today. That's also pretty exciting, to be honest. So.
Yeah. So I guess my question there is for you guys. Julian, are you staying on or are you hopping off? It's up to you.
It depends. I mean, I'm happy to stay. Maybe chat doesn't want to see me anymore, then I'll drop off. So I don't know. Can we throw a poll up here? See if I'm wanted or not.
Basically, should Julian get some sleep or should he stay on? And we'll continue.
Should our fearless leader, the GM of Elgato,
talk about some of the other products? So
I could talk about products all day long. That's the problem. I might not get any sleep.
But yeah, so we're gonna now head over to talking about Wave XLR, Stream Deck Mark II, the mic arms, all these other products that we announced today. So I want to give a shout out and a thank you to Rolf for coming on. Thanks for spending time with us here.
And thank you for engineering an amazing webcam.
Yes.
Thank you for that too.
Yeah. That's awesome.
A lot more people are going to thank him in the next coming weeks.
Yeah, and we're excited to see what you guys think when you get your face cam. If you, I think if you order today, they'll be coming in fairly quickly. So
yeah, I'm sure they'll ship tomorrow.
Awesome. All right. So I think if I just switch over.
Good night, Rolf.
See you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Good night, Rolf. Bye.
Bye.
I think if I switch over here, there we go. Okay, we need to adjust our angles a little bit to make sure we're completely in frame. But now it's just us three.
I still see him in the call. I don't know.
Yep, that's okay though.
Okay, we're good.
That's totally fine. So looks like you're staying. I think chat voted 86%. So you have a pretty high approval rating here. But awesome. Let's talk about Wave XLR. I think that's kind of the next product.
Why don't we we'll let you guys talk about Wave XLR. I'll stay another 10 minutes. I don't have Wave XLR connected, so you guys can talk about that later. Let's maybe talk about the mic arms, because honestly, the mic arms are pretty amazing. Let's talk about those for a bit. And do you have those trailers lined up, Phil?
I do, yes. Let's take a look at the I've got the individual ones actually. I think on the premiere we had like a combined trailer.
We had a cut up. Yeah, let's run through both trailers.
Let's do that. All right. First up is going to be Wave Mic Arm. That's the regular high-rise one.
Here I go. Give me that microphone. Give me that microphone. Is this thing on? Give me that mic. Now's the time. Get up, get loud, and show 'em what I'm about. Give me that mic. I'm coming alive. Ain't no microphone. Give me that microphone.
And we're back. All right. So those were the two trailers for Wave Mic Arm and Wave Mic Arm LP, both of which we also announced today. So what do you guys think? I think that's the first question we should ask in chat. What do you guys think of these microphone arms? Microphone arms have been something that it's kind of it's a little bit like multi-mount in the sense that there's nothing really been like there's
Yeah, it's
some
like
decent
webcams.
ones or but there's like decent ones, but they all have problems. And so we really wanted to look at what can we do to solve some issues.
Fundamentally, people don't really do anything different with mic arms. Now, there's only so much you can do, let's be honest. But if we kind of start with the high-rise mic arm, there's a couple of nice details in there that we think make it, at the end of the day, better than anything that's out there now. And we kind of tried to combine the best of both worlds. And I don't like talking about competition, but there are two products here that are very popular, and they're very good products, right? So the Rode PSA 1 is a very popular arm. It works great. You move it around, it does its thing. For the most part, it stays in place. It doesn't really work well with lighter mics, but apart from that, it's good. It doesn't really have anything in the way of cable management. And then you've got the, I think Blue Compass is what it's called, which has really nice cable management, but it lacks that complete freedom of movement where you have to keep retightening it and loosening it. And so we basically wanted to combine both. That's what we did. You've got that freedom of movement, you've got great cable management, and then you've got a couple of additional tricks. So one thing is just on the end of these mic arms is just a standard ball head, like you have on our multi-mounts, which means you have 360-degree freedom of movement for your microphone, which when we were making these was like, that seems like a no-brainer. Why isn't anybody doing that? And then on the high-rise, as a high-rise, we also added an additional optional element that gives you this much more vertical elevation, so you can get the arm to really go up and over a monitor if that's what you're looking for. So all of those details, I think, add up for to make a complete package that really is just very, very nice to work with and sort of ticks all the boxes that we could find.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have a question right off the bat. Does the low profile mic arm work with heavier XLR mics?
Yeah, absolutely.
This question is from Luke out. And yeah, so what's great is the low profile arm, I don't know what you want to call it, but like the second arm piece that like extends out, that actually isn't tension based, or like there's no spring in it. So it'll just stay in whatever position you need it to. So Julian's pulling it up there.
So
we'll see if
tighten
this-
it with a hex key to determine the resistance, basically.
Exactly. This is where you tighten it, and if you want to, you can make it really tight to where it really doesn't move anymore, or you make it a little bit more loose, so you get up to kind of 90-degree angle on this mic arm. Now I'm only got like a third of camera space here, so I'm not sure how to show you guys this, but
I've got a picture that I can throw up actually, that kind of show how it looks.
There we
it's kind
go.
of covering us, but yeah, so you can see there, that's one position it can be in. So you can keep it, you can raise it, or you can also just have it go kind of completely flat, or even lower it.
Favorite feature on this guy, definitely the magnetic cable channel.
Yeah.
Right? So let me see if
It's
this
so
is
solid.
coming into the picture. And you can also get the audio of just metal on metal. I mean, it's just quality, right? This is awesome.
Yeah.
It actually is made out of it's all metal construction, right?
Yeah, it's all
so-
metal. I mean, it's things built like a tank. It's amazing.
Yeah, we can't wait for the first ASMR like cable management videos to come out for our mic arm, for the mic arm LP.
I apparently tightened my hex key very tight, and I cannot pull it out. I was just like,
Actually, the another nice thing is the hex key that ships with this because of this magnetic cable channel, you just put the hex key in here. It means you'll never lose it, right? So,
I did
mic
not
arm
know that.
LP pro tip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing is too, I mean, just the price. So there are other, when we talk about specifically low profile arms, this one comes in at $100 US. I
Yeah,
don't
both of
think
them did.
there's
Call it 99.
99. We'll call it what it is, 99. I don't think you'll find anything out there in the same quality for any like remotely close. I think the next one up is
No.
like 300. It's like 3 times the price, right?
Yeah. So when we started looking at this, I mean, this form factor is just inspired by radio stations. You'll commonly find the low profile form factors in kind of professional radio stations, and those arms are costing, $400 or $500. And when we saw that, we thought, well, we love the form factor. We don't really love the price, and it's in many ways over-engineered for what basically anybody needs, actually. So we kind of ran with that and went through multiple iterations of this, and think we came up with a form factor we think you guys are actually going to love. I think it's awesome because it keeps it out of frame, right? So my mic arm is coming from over here. It goes underneath my monitor and then up a little, and then places my mic right where it needs to be. But you can't see the entire arm. It's not blocking my picture at all. It's not in my way at all. It's not blocking my line of sight. So just really, really nice.
Actually, I wonder if I switch over to your solo scene. Yeah, I mean, you can see there, we've got Julian in full screen, and I mean, the microphone, you could probably move it even lower if you wanted to.
Yeah, no,
and
I
really get it out of
definitely
the
lowered it a little bit and then kind of bring the mic up a little bit. And yeah, a lot of questions about this mic. This is a one of one. Unfortunately, this is not for sale, but we'll talk about customization later when we talk about Stream Deck MK2. It's something that we're really
Actively
interested in,
working. Yeah.
and trying to find ways for you guys to basically put your own brand front and center on the gear you work with.
So we're seeing obviously now a ton of questions on kind of the specs, like will it work with this specific microphone or that specific mic? What is the supported weight? Those will actually have those details on our website. So if you go to the product pages, you can find more specific details. Just on a very general level, the low profile mic arm, because you can tighten the like essentially the arm piece of it, it'll hold pretty much any micro. I don't think there's a single microphone that it can't hold up, at least none that I know of that are too heavy. And then for the,
I don't know, the chunkiest mic
Let
I've
me-
seen is the
yeah.
one you're using. The RE20 is just this
Yeah.
big, massive, heavy thing, and it's no problem.
and
So
I'm actually using the regular mic arm, and yeah, this is an RE20. I mean, I can move it around. You can see there. If I let go of it, there's almost no movement. There's almost no wobble whatsoever. So again, the exact specifications are on our website. You can check those out. Maybe one of the mods can link them.
Yeah, I'm also going to just talk about it a little bit, just because it is kind of some of the cool features about the mics, the mic arms, and I want to start with the mic arm higher, the boom style one, because this one a lot of people are more familiar with. So as somebody who's used every mic arm under the sun, Julian's kind of touched upon it great, like the Rode mic arm, like solid arm, right? It's been like the ubiquitous arm for a long time, but there's two main problems with it. One is the cable management. You have to use Velcro, which doesn't really look good, and it's kind of a pain to kind of get things in and out. Meanwhile, with our mic arm, you have these like little strips that you just like kind of peel out, and then you just put them back on, and you just sort of like scrunch them on, and it's actually like super satisfying to just like peel them off and put them back on. So the second problem is just mic weight. So if you have lighter microphones, or especially like if you're just starting streaming, some of the more entry level microphones are kind of light, and the springs, like there's only so much weight range that you can have springs account for. So you could either choose to have your springs only support, like 0 to 500 grams, right? Which you might find like those $20 mic arms are pretty good at holding the lighter mics, but then they cave under the weight of even like a Blue Yeti, because that's a kind of big, microphone. Meanwhile, like the Rode can support those heavier mics, but lighter microphones, including like, wave microphones, if you don't have accessories on them, end up not meeting that like a minimum weight threshold. And so the springs will just like raise up. So what we ended up doing to increase our accepted weight range is this is a kind of heavy chunk right here, which I guess I don't really need for this one. But this basically gives your mic arm extra weight. So if you're using a lighter microphone system, it will work with the springs better. And if you're using a heavier mic, you just take this part off. And so you're going to have that easy, like, move it wherever you need. You don't need to tighten any knobs or anything like that. And it just works when you need it to. So it's like those are some things that like other mic arms have tried to address in other ways, but then they change the overall design of the microphone to like not be easily maneuverable. And so I think that that's like a really important thing that we've addressed. Another thing I want to talk about.
The Elgato chunk weight. That's right, Mr. Fantail.
Yeah.
It's an optional accessory.
So the other thing I want to mention is like a really popular microphone that's been on Twitch for like years is the Shure SM7B. It's like the, like Phil's using an RE20. Those two are like the more popular, like $400-ish microphones that you can get. And from what I found in like testing is that if you try to use the Shure SM7B, because the XLR port is near the mount to the mic arm, you actually can't fully move the Shure SM7B to get the position that you want. So like if I try to have like one of the other mic arms like the Rode or the Blue on like the front or like near the front of the side of my desk, I actually can't use the Shure with it. But like, so you'd have to have it on like the back or whatever. Meanwhile, this, like you have like that full maneuverability, even though I think you can't see because we're on the 3-person screen right
Well,
now.
hold on. I can change that. I can show. Here we go. So
because this has like the same kind of ball head that our multi-mount system has, and I probably sound really weird right now, you can maneuver this any which way, and that goes for the Shure SM7B as well when the XLR port is like right here. So like that can really have some compatibility issues with other mic arms that this just doesn't have. So like that paired with like the riser, which is like completely optional, which like again we kind of borrowed from like more radio focused mic arms, but to be able to offer that entire package, like that weight range and that kind of compatibility and still like the same price point as like the other leading competitors is pretty nuts.
and just overall, the design is great. I mean, if you look at any of the
It
pictures
looks good
that
too
we
because
have
of that
up,
cable management for sure.
yeah, it's the cable management, but just in general, there's no like exposed pieces. There's no exposed like springs or like tension pieces, or these they just look good in a setup, and that's another thing when you're creating content. You want to feel good in your setup, and you want to feel like it supports you and what you do.
You want it to be aesthetically pleasing. Absolutely.
Exactly. And that's another big component of it. I've used different microphone arms as well, and I always look at it. I'm like, this is the one piece of my setup where I don't really like it because it's messy. I want to get rid of the mess. And that it is a big factor for some people. For others, you just want to hold your mic up. I also want it to look good.
Yeah.
All right.
So
on that note, I'm going to peace out now, guys.
Sounds good.
Chat, please be nice to Phil and Steggy. Show them lots of love. Ask good questions.
I think we
See
can
you on the
handle
next
them.
one.
yeah.
Thanks, Julian.
See ya. Have a
Bye,
great
guys.
night, man. So just to finalize the notes on just the weight capacity alone, just so people don't have to like click away. So the mic arm, the boom style can support between 250 grams to 1 kilogram. So that's 2.2 pounds, which covers most microphones. And so that weight range is like double that of like the other leading mic arms out there. And then the LP can support up to 4.4 pounds or 2 kilograms because of that tightening rod. So just to kind of put a number to it, because sometimes we forget the nitty gritty numbers. It's like, is it 4.4? Is it just 4?
Yeah. And then the riser, on the regular mic arm, it includes the, let's see, do I have an image here? I think I do. Yeah. So it's just over the screen, but you can see there on the left-hand side, that's an optional riser. So if you want to have the microphone arm come up over a monitor, or you just need to lift it off your desk because maybe there's other things on your desk, you can use this piece, and it gives it another couple inches, couple centimeters of extra height there. And that's also, again, all metal construction, so extremely high quality. And it's all optional, of course, together with the weight then. So
Yeah, definitely helps have it like reach over monitors. I
yeah,
found because that's how I'm having this microphone come on. Because like if I was like looking at my main monitor, which is like over here, I would use like my LP and I would just have my face cam on it. But like for this style that I'm going with, because I like the framing, I like being able to use this mic arm. Like so, and I saw something in chat. Forgive me if this is
yep.
skipping ahead or
No, no,
whatever, but
please
somebody
go
was
ahead.
asking if you can mount cameras onto these mic arms. While I wouldn't see the utility in doing it for the LP, you can absolutely mount, a camera on here or on either of them because these are 1/4 inch native jacks. So what comes with the mic arms is native 1/4 inch ball head jack with a locking nut. So like long story, but it helps like keep your microphone where it needs to be. It's something that like the cheaper, like, $20 to $50 mic arms don't include at all. And it makes like using them super painful. But then it also comes with adapters to turn that 1/4 inch into 3/8 inch or 5/8 inch. So basically, these mic arms will work with any microphone you throw at it. The only thing to note about the cameras is just you want to meet, for the LP, you want it to be at least 250 grams total weight. Yeah, like what you see, you need 250 grams basically to get it to like work 100% properly because like Facecam, I'm pretty sure does it. It's kind of a light webcam, so I don't think meets that. Although one of our colleagues had successfully used his for like a top-down camera using his mic arm, but I don't know if he added anything else on there. But I think it's kind of like skirts the line
Yeah.
between like the bottom limit.
And we do have that other option now, which we announced today, which is wall mount. So if you need to mount, like let's say you're next to a wall that's in front of you, and you want a more permanent, fixture for your camera, or let's say you have a heavier camera, then man, that I wish I had a mini fridge just next to me that I could just grab a drink from.
Yesterday, I was just like, "Yo, we need this stream to be 10 hours. I can go all night. I got myself a big supply."
Nice. Then we have wall mount for that. Unfortunately, I don't think I have an image, but basically it's just if you've ever seen a security camera style mount, it just screws into the wall, and then you've got a little flex arm bit on there, and then another 1/4 inch ball head, and so you can put your camera on that or a face cam, and it just cleans up the setup. Or there's also other cool things you can do with it. For example, if I wanted an over the shoulder shot, like if I want to show you guys my entire setup here, I could put the wall mount, on the wall behind me, and then figure out a wireless solution or maybe a wired solution.
Epoch cam.
There you go, Epoch Cam. And I could get that over and then have that be my over-the-shoulder camera that's just permanently there, and I don't need to worry about moving it or it falling or anything like that.
Yeah, that's actually like a really cool like I mean, like, if you want like a behind the scenes webcam, like wall mount and Epoch Cam is just such a great combination because whether you whether you want to like because you can get like little 1/4 inch to like phone mounts if you want like MagSafe or whatever, but you can also do just the regular clamps. So if you want to use like your normal iPhone, or if you have like your previous generation that you like keep in a drawer just as like a backup because you don't want to do like insurance or whatever, or if you go to eBay and buy an old iPhone 6S for like $60, like you can get a wireless, you could just plug it into a wall for constant power. You can get a wireless webcam for like a behind the scenes thing that you can just mount right on the wall. It's such a good combo.
We got another question here. Speaking of wall mount, can you extend the wall mount out more, like an extra spacer to bring it out further from the wall?
You can't, so like wall mount does basically have the same mountings as flex arm, so you could technically do it with that. However, you want to be careful about the weight that you're doing it because basically the farther out, so like you have the one ball head that's like at the wall, right? The farther out like horizontal you're coming out with like flex arm pieces, like let's say you have like like 1 pound of weight here. The farther out you are, that 1 pound of weight is putting more force or pressure on that ball head. And so I forget the exact kind of things, but if you're using like a kilogram like key light or whatever, you can't really go out far before it goes beyond like just the grip strength of the ball head. So you can if you're using lighter products, but like you definitely want to play with it to make sure that it's good because it really depends on the weight and the size of the product you're using and like how extended horizontally you're going.
And then on that same note, is there a way to mount wall mount, or I'm sorry, is there a way to wall mount mic arms?
Technically with the wall mount and flex arm kit, but
But
again, like how far you can go out is the question.
yeah, and I mean the microphone arms themselves, like the LP and the regular one, that it comes with the same base as the key light or some of those other products. So it's a desk clamp, so it clamps on your desk. I actually don't know how you would mount that onto a wall. I don't think that's possible.
I mean, so there are some interesting things that you could do if you wanted to wall mount stuff. Like if you were to use like let's say that you were to use the mic arm, right? Because that has the same clamp as multi mount. Like let's say you had a floating wall shelf that was like screwed into an anchor or something. You could clamp it to that, or you could clamp the mic arm clamp to like a piece on, like if you have a monitor arm that's got like a solid, like a horizontal solid thing that you can grip onto. Like you can do quite a few things creatively to try to make the setup work, but like officially we don't have options for that right now.
Yep. Let's see, what else have we got here? Can I mount the mic arm on a multi-mount and base? You don't have the ability to attach the mic arm to a table. I don't think so.
We don't have stuff that you could technically that you can do that right now. Possibly something in the future, like there could be some, because like we've made different attachments for multi-mount, like the solid arm and stuff like that. And so like there could be potentially something that we could do there, but it's not necessarily anything that we have slated down, but it's something that we can like write down and like consider doing, because there are some possibilities on like what can be done on the product side to make that kind of thing done versus like what you as like a do-it-yourselfer could do with the pre-existing products.
Yes. And can the new mic arms handle a pod mic? Absolutely. I think I'm
Julian used that a lot in testing.
I'm pretty sure I can say, or I can say with confidence, that both the mic arms can handle any mic. Like the low profile one, you just gotta either loosen or tighten the arm piece, and on the high rise, like the regular mic arm, you either use the additional weight that's included if the mic is too light, or well, I think too heavy for. I mean, I'm using an RE20. This thing is, I mean, this is a. I think somebody said it earlier, like a chonker mic, and this thing is quite heavy, and you can see here. I mean, there's almost no wiggle. This thing just stays in place. So I don't think mics get much heavier than this. At least not ones that you would use at your desk setup, right? Not literally meaning every mic on the planet ever. But if you're using a normal condenser or a normal dynamic mic, it's probably going to
So
be
I'm
okay.
I'm gonna be starting my own company that makes USB mics, but like I just have like a pocket that I just put lead into just to prove Phil wrong there. Just
Yeah.
I'm not petty, I swear.
And then here's another great question. And yeah, it might not be obvious if we don't have them up on the screen, but what is the difference between the mic arms? Um,
Did we do that GIF as the teaser? Where like, because we were trying to think of like posts we could do, like when it's like, oh, every 1,000 likes we'll post like a new teaser for what we were announcing, and then one of the ones we were shooting around is a GIF of somebody doing like up high, down low for like
mhm.
too slow for giving a high five, and that's basically the big difference. But yeah, Phil, if you
Well,
want
let
to show
me,
it on
yeah,
screen.
so so this is the regular mic arm here. I'm just adding this image right in front.
Yeah.
So you can see that's like a table there and it's clamped on, and that's how it kind of extends over. There's also a different view here. So this is with the riser on it. So this is more your traditional mic arm that you probably see everywhere when you just, Google mic arm. Then we have the mic arm low profile, and low profile, it just works a little bit differently. So the idea here is that you actually mount this where you have, like, on your table, but behind or underneath your monitor. So let's say, I've got a triple monitor setup here. The mount would go underneath one of the monitors, and it's very low. I don't know the
I'm
exact
I'm
like
do I'm
height.
doing I'm doing it right
Oh,
now.
you're measuring. All right. Um,
It's not like
so you can see there it's just very low, and then you can use that second extension piece here, and that you can raise the microphone up with. So then it looks a little bit like that, and then you have freedom to move it around, push the microphone out of the way, or get it closer to you, all of these things. So those are the two big differences. It's simply kind of where where the microphone arm is mounted, and then how it gets the microphone to you.
So for the lower tiers, because there's like the bottom and the top that sort of do like this or whatever for the LP, it's 4 inches high from the ground or whatever. So you need 4 inches or around 10 centimeters of space between the desk and your monitor for that first tier to clear. The second one, obviously, it matters about like how like what the pitch is on it. But the first one needs to be, you need 4 inches of clearance.
Got it. And so I think we're actually going to throw up a poll, which is which microphone arm of the two, now that you guys know the difference, which is the one that you would prefer to use, or that you would like, that you want to get? Is it the mic arm or the mic arm LP?
It's really funny because I was, when I was considering things at first, I'm just like, super gung ho LP all the way. And I do have that in my downstairs setup, and I have one here. But like for this, when I'm like kind of looking at my cameras that I mount over here, I do like having that just like little extra reach of the high rise, just because like I've got a key light air that's sort of like just to make everything fit. I put my LP like in the way corner, and so it works more for when I'm on this monitor versus this one. So like I'm kind of using both right now, and I do love like I'm gonna leave this here just so I could use it for my camera too.
Mm-hmm.
So like I don't know, I'm a little, but I do like that the LP, because that's something that like people haven't seen before. Because what I was trying to say earlier was like mic arms really are like webcams, where it's like there hasn't really been anything done in like 10 years, like, so there's like the status quo that people were just like okay with, but it's just like it can be done better.
It can,
And
right?
like,
And that's what we're doing. I mean, that's with all
yeah.
of the products today. The face cam.
We're trying to create better. We're
Yeah.
trying to create better so you can create better.
Oh, I like that. That's catchy.
Yeah. And it's like the LP, I think it's also, the LP is one of my is probably it might be my favorite of like the launches today for me personally, just because it kind of brings me back to Stream Deck, where we kind of look at some solutions in the more enterprise broadcasting space and figure out what we can do to consumerize them and truly optimize them for the at-home content creator. And so being able to turn something that's like $400 to $500, depending on like the mounting option you get, like for one of these low profile arms, like from like the professional space, $99. It's nuts.
Yeah. I don't think we need to bring this question like on the screen, but will you be able to buy the riser separate? I don't think so. I mean, it comes with the mic arm, so if you're getting a mic arm,
you can't stack them.
And yeah, I think don't
No,
quote me
I'm
on
pretty
this.
sure. I'm pretty sure
they
the
don't?
thingies are, the length is different.
Oh, okay, I see. So yeah, no, you can't get them separately, and you do get
I'm
one
pretty sure.
riser with
I'm
the
pretty sure.
you
I
do
don't-
get one riser with the microphone arm.
I'm like doubting myself now. Maybe. I mean, we wouldn't recommend it because of stability wise.
Yeah. And then another one in that same vein, can you attach the riser to the low profile mic arm? And no, if anything, you'd want it lower.
You could check. Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, it's the low profile mic arm, so I guess
I
maybe.
thought for whatever reason my brain went to like, could I clamp on my wave mic arm onto the bottom thing of my mic arm LP? And I'm like, I could do that. It is level, and it does have a lip that I could clamp onto.
Yeah. Awesome. I just want
But
to
yeah.
remind everyone, we've got some stuff going on. Well, actually, okay, so the poll is just finished. So 73% of you guys, it looks like we got something like close to 350 votes. 73% of you are voting for the mic arm LP.
I mean, like,
that's pretty cool.
So like this is why this makes more sense, and like why that poll makes more sense. Like this is awesome, right? This is an improvement and like a marrying of both worlds of like the best of everything that's offered on the market, right? However, there's one thing for Twitch creators that I think is an important thing to consider, and that's just like right now I've got this boom obscuring my view of this monitor. If I'm playing on this monitor, I'm fine. But if I'm playing on this one, and depending on your setup is like if you're turning your mic like this and you're looking over here, you're okay. But like, no matter what you do with mic arm LP, it's coming from below, so you're never going to obscure either monitor. Because like with the boom arm, even if you have chat on one monitor and your game on the other, you're going to have your vision blocked or obscured just a little bit. And so while this is great for like talk shows like what we're doing right now for gaming, I'd rather use the LP because I won't, then I'll have one less thing to blame when I die. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I did want to reiterate though, since it's been a little bit, some of you guys are still posting in chat, create better. So in about 30 minutes, we're going to be giving away a, what do we call it? A streamer starter kit or something like that.
Yeah.
Basically this extremely awesome designed, Pelican case, but I'll let you do the talking.
I mean, I'm just struggling holding all this stuff up.
Okay, maybe I'll do the talking.
I didn't secure this foam.
Basically,
but yeah.
you get a face cam, obviously brand new, just announced today, a Stream Deck Mark II, and a Wave 3 microphone. So this is a combination, and then obviously in this really awesomely designed, I can switch over the camera here, awesomely designed Pelican case with this custom foam cutouts and everything. So it's almost like a little travel kit that you can take with
one
you.
thing to keep in mind, what we'll be doing for the winner. So we'll actually be personalizing it with your name on it. So right now this one's got my name on it. You will not be getting the one with my name. I don't think you'd want that anyway. But yeah, so like you'd be getting like this actual like custom branded kind with the custom interior that fits everything on there. So yeah, this will be personalized with your name on it too, which is just like another nice little touch, because hey, you guys deserve it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then I think let's talk Wave XLR, shall we? And Stream Deck Mark II.
Sure.
I think we got those two products. So we've talked a lot about, we've covered face cam, we've covered the microphone arm and wall mount. Let's do Wave XLR. And actually one of the first questions I want to answer, because I've seen it a couple times now, is why are the two guys from Elgato not using Elgato microphones? And that is very simply because we announced Wave XLR today, and we've been using it. That's what I'm using right now. I've got a RE20 microphone going into Wave XLR. I hope it sounds really good. My testing, it sounds great. Jeff, what are you using?
This is the Shure SM58 XLR microphone, a Supreme edition, just because like, I mean, honestly, like, so like when you're making products, right, you're trying to learn everything you can about making the best product, and so you want to test what else is on the market. I have probably every major microphone lying around my house, in some form or another, but like I'm so happy with just like using my Wave 3 that like I'm just like, crap, what am I going to use on here? And so I'm just like, well, this style is really dope. Like I really like it. Like the quality, it's like it's great, right? But like I also like the Wave, but I'm like, I like the red. I like being a little extra, and so that's why I decided to do this.
So before we continue on with talking about Wave XLR, let's take a peek at the trailer again so that you guys can see what Wave XLR is all about. All right, so we're back. That's Wave XLR, and yeah, so is that. Actually, let me see if I can. It looks like your quality might have dipped a little bit there. Let me see if I can get that back up.
Yeah, it's showing my uploads only 2 right now, where before it's been like 3 or 4. So it might be internet stuff.
Might be. Let's give it a quick refresh here.
on my Twitch feed or whatever.
It takes a little
I mean,
bit
I
for it to
disappeared a little
recover.
bit.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
now I'm pixelated. But yeah.
maybe it'll recover. There we go. It's coming back.
Okay.
The joys of working remote and creating a remote live production.
that? Yeah.
There we go. It's back. So yeah, Wave XLR is basically the thing that, I mean, the day we launched our Wave microphones and Wavelink, and the more you guys, discovered Wavelink, the big question was always, I want to use my Shure SM7B, my RA20, my Rode Podcaster. I want to use all these like high-end microphones, or even something like an AT2020, the XLR version. Like, I want to use those with Wavelink. How do I do that? And Wave XLR is that answer. So it's just an extremely high quality audio interface that gives you access to the Wavelink software as well. And one of the things that we did is we worked again with Lewitt on this, and those guys are experts in audio over there. So it's got a really high quality preamp for the microphone, and that was really important. So this thing offers up to 75 decibels of gain, and that's extremely high quality, really clean gain.
Yeah.
And
So
go ahead.
sorry.
Yeah, no.
I was gonna say, because somebody was asking what kind. This was an internally developed, like this is like a custom preamp that was developed in cooperation with Lewitt for that.
Yeah, there's no like name. It's not like
Yeah.
there are a couple of kind of like household names. It's not one of those.
Yeah.
This is something that is based on our spec, something that we would feel proud, to develop, and proud to put out.
Yeah. And to get in like the nitty gritty of it, because it's like, there's been some talks and like just a lot of concern over like, XLR microphones working with different interfaces because of what they offer. So the 75 decibels that we offer, so it's 52 analog and 23 digital to give you that complete 75 decibels of gain, which is ultra low noise. If we can pull up this stat that kind of just show like,
I think that's the key point, though.
These are the numbers.
I think that's the key point, though, is yes, there's some digital gain in there. I think pretty much every preamp has some sort of digital gain, but what you're amplifying there needs to already be good, right? The source sound the analog incoming sound needs to already be high quality. And so we really made sure that with Wave XLR, if you're going to push that analog gain all the way up to its maximum, it's still going to sound really, really good.
Yeah. So our equivalent input noise is negative 130 dBV at 60 decibels of gain, which basically kind of, which like in layman's terms, like Wave XLR isn't going to be adding noise to your microphone.
Yep.
So it's like there are some microphones out there. I don't know enough about like the whole landscape, but there are some microphones with like a noise floor that they bring to the party essentially. But basically like we don't bring that with Wave XLR, and that was important. So like, so there's like a lot of concern because there are other audio products out there that like, people are finding out like weren't working great with like hard to drive microphones like the Shure SM7B or the RE20, because those are like notoriously insensitive microphones. And so they require a lot of drive. And so like that's where people first started kind of realizing the difference between like analog and digital gain, but like there's more to it than just analog good, digital bad. Like it's how you actually implement it and tune your preamp to make sure that it's low noise. And so we literally like took the SM7B and the RE20 as examples of like, this is what streamers are getting. If you're not getting like a Wave 3, like some people would try to get like, pod mics or some more like less expensive XLR microphones if they're doing like podcasting setups and stuff like that. Like if they're just looking for any XLR so they can do like multi mic setups and stuff like that. But most people for Twitch are gunning for like the Halo products, the SM7B and the RE20, which are like pretty expensive, but also like known as like the ubiquitous top of the line. And so we wanted to make sure that we could support those and make sure that that performance was great. And so we think that people will really be surprised about the quality that you can get from this little guy.
Not only that, but you also don't need a cloud lifter for this. So that was one of the
Yes.
big things. It's like not only did you just buy an expensive microphone, which obviously sounds great, but when you plug it into whatever interface you're using, now it's too quiet. Or you have to crank up digital gain to the point where all you hear is white noise in the background. That's not good either. So then what do you have to do? You have to go out and buy another $150 product. That just doesn't seem right. And so with Wave XLR, we made sure that you can power even, and I just learned this word, by the way, the other day. Well, not word, but like that it can have the same meaning, an insensitive microphone It can power even the most insensitive microphones, something like a Shure SM7B, which obviously is notorious for needing a lot of gain, um, without needing any additional hardware. So for the 199 $199 of Wave XLR, or actually, is it 150 or 199? I believe it's 149. I misspoke there. You can get something that'll power your Shure SM7B,
It's
or again,
159.99, by the way, just to
159.
clarify. Yeah.
There we go. So 159.99. That's US. Obviously, different regions are gonna, it's gonna vary
Yeah.
locally. But for that price point, you get something that can drive your microphone without additional hardware.
Yeah, I mean, like even like studio preamps, like in like thousands of dollars studio equipment, still use the digital gain in order to get to like the levels that we get to get to the noise performance. And so that's sort of the takeaway, where it's like you are getting studio level preamps in here to drive your microphone. Like, just, I mean, even if you were to kind of set aside the whole software aspect, which we haven't even gotten into yet,
Not yet.
just the ability to like drive these microphones. And another thing that's been a lot of streamers concerns because of other products that have this year or whatever, is minimum gain. Because if you can't get into lower gains, then if you have an easier to drive microphone, like some condenser microphones, they'll come in way too hot. So I remember seeing like one YouTube video where like the guy's like, I don't know how I can get this to like not clip, because like just he couldn't get below like a certain whatever. And so this goes all the way from 0 gain to 75 dB. So like you have that great compatibility with the different microphones. This also has 48 volts of phantom power. So this will
Yep.
work perfectly with dynamic microphones, which don't need that, and then condenser microphones, which does need it. And then it gives that. And speaking of clipping, by the way, so this basically, I mean, like this really does turn your XLR microphone into a wave microphone. So one of the examples of that is the capacitive mute switch. So if you tap this ring will glow red, or you can actually customize that to signify that your mic is muted. So like you aren't going to make any audible clicking noise. The big dial on here mimics the Wave 3's dial. So you tap it to switch between your mic gain, your headphone volume, and your mic PC mix. And then you long press if you want to turn on and off the phantom power, but like you could just do that in the software as well, in the Wavelink software. But that's also really like the biggest thing, is that this unlocks Wavelink software, because in order to use Wavelink software, there is like a hardware and driver level kind of power needed from hardware in order to power that kind of stuff. And so when people are like, oh, just sell it standalone, it's not as simple as that. But this, like I've said this in past streams, trying to like allude to this, where it's like you do need hardware in order to power Wavelink software, but like what that hardware is, there is some flexibility there. And this is basically what I was referring to, was like we can make devices like this that can unlock the software because of the special stuff we put in there. And so with that, you have basically all of the features of Wavelink, which is basically a mixer replacement.
Yeah,
Sorry,
you
go ahead,
also
Phil.
mentioned clip guard. I mean, this has clip guard. So this gives your XLR mic clip guard. So I think the normal kind of peak decibel range for Wave XLR is 100 decibels. And that's where you'd end up clipping, but you get another, essentially, you can expand the headroom of that to 120 decibels of input gain through clip guard. So if you start yelling really loudly, or something happens and, you're overdriving that microphone, the signal won't sound bad. And so you're getting that, again, that proprietary feature. You just added that to your analog XLR microphone just by plugging it into Wave XLR, which is incredible.
Yeah, it's something that I like, because I still do a lot of the YouTube videos for like the scripting and like the on camera stuff. And I'm, using like these boom microphones where I'm like really struggling with like getting the right audio levels where like it's not too low or I'm not clipping, because I'll get it good, but then there will be like 2 or 3 times where I'm just like, hi, I'm Steg, and like I do these like bigger inflections that'll end up clipping. And then it's just like, did you do other takes where maybe you're not clipping? And I'm like, no. And I'm like, I wish, because like, in one of my old offices, like I was able to use my Wave microphone as like the microphone for our YouTube videos too. And it made things so much easier, because you can set that gain to where you're talking normally, where you're like, man, I'm in that -12 to 9 range. But then if you have those certain points, like we're in like the beginning of a sentence where you talk a little bit louder, that clip guard will bring you back down, so you aren't gonna ruin your audio take. So it's something that like when I'm using like boom microphones, I'm just like, God, I wish I had my wave with me.
So speaking of microphones and XLR and USB and all this fancy stuff, we wanted to throw another poll out there and ask you guys, you the viewers, what do you guys use, or what are you planning on using? Like, would you, I guess, like, do you use a USB microphone right now or an XLR microphone, or in the future, like, let's say you want to upgrade, is that upgrade path like another USB microphone, which is totally viable, by the way. XLR isn't end all be all. You can also get very high quality USB microphones, that connect directly via USB, or do you go the XLR route? So let us know. We'd be very curious. Now, the cool thing is now you have the option, right? With something like Wave 3 and Wave XLR, you can choose. Do you want to connect an XLR microphone, or do you want to use Wave 3, which simplifies just a tad by, you have the microphone, all it needs is a USB cable.
Yeah. So I'm seeing one question in here that I want to address. I hope it's not going out of turn,
No,
but
go
they're
ahead.
referring to Harris Heller's review of the Wave XLR, which fortunately I haven't got to catch yet because we went right from the premiere into
Yeah, we've
into
been
the
here with
stream.
you guys hanging out.
Yeah. But basically there's commenting that he says that like VSTs are on the way, and like I do want to confirm that, like, I can't give more information than that, but it's like when we were talking about it, it's like I got the okay from Julian last night and he's like, yeah, you can tell him. Where right now VSTs are currently being worked on and is our like current number one focus for Wavelink. So like for a little while we were making sure that like the Wave XLR implementation was good. We just had that bigger update a little while back where we were doing like the resizing, and there was a lot of like foundational stuff we needed to change with Wavelink just to kind of get it set up for some of these newer things that we want to work with it. But like the next big thing for us is VSTs, and that is like what we are currently actively working on.
Now, if you're not
As far as the
familiar,
details on that, I can't, we can't get too much into like, oh, we're throwing this thingy in here or whatever.
so
But
I see
sorry, go
many
ahead.
questions. What is VST? Essentially, VST are audio filters or audio plugins that do things to your voice. So it could be an EQ, it could be a noise gate, it could be noise suppression, it could be a compressor, a limiter, an expander. All these things,
De-esser.
a de-esser, exactly. So, and VST is a standardized interface. So the idea is that you have a VST host, which essentially would be Wavelength, for example. And then all of these plugins live inside there, and then you would be able to apply them how you want. And there's like order to them, like which one do you apply before the other one, stuff like that. And that gives you a lot of manual control. And that is, we've heard you guys, we know you guys want it. Heck, I want it. I think Steggy wants it. So like
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where we knew it's something that we wanted when we first were releasing Wavelength, but it kind of comes down to one of those things where at a certain point, like, you need to define what you can ship with versus what can come at later times so that you can actually release a product and not just keep waiting. Like, because if we were to do this, it's like, well, it'd be good if we really just like also did this. And it's like, oh, it's a thing called feature creep where you just like don't stop. And then like the product will never come out just because it'll never be good enough. And so it's been on our list for a while, but like we had to do some housekeeping at first before we could really get into that. And so yeah, it is being worked on, and so thankfully we got that okay, because it's like nice to be able to share like the confirmation on stuff like that, so like people will know that it's like we are listening, like we're always paying attention. We can't always comment on it like we're doing right now. Sometimes we might, but we're just trying to be cryptic, right? But like, yeah. But in any case, yeah. So just hopefully that rests some qualms. So like, if you are interested in a Wave 3 microphone or a Wave XLR interface, you have that knowledge that it's like, yeah, it's coming. But it's like, even without that as it stands right now, the features are already like super strong with the Wavelength software, which like, just to give somebody like a 30-second crash course on it, instead of having a giant physical mixer with all the faders and dials and stuff and like really complicated workflows in order to get your audio to what you want, and it doesn't exactly do exactly what you want either. Wavelength software replaces that by basically saying like, okay, hey, you've got your game audio, you have your microphone audio, you have your game audio coming from your computer, you want Spotify, YouTube, that's all coming from your computer. So if you just have an app that makes sense of all of those different audio sources being played in your computer and centralizes the control there, and then not only centralizes the control, but gives you two different mixes, one for what you hear and one for what your audience hears, then you've got something really compelling. So like there's so many mixers out there that are like, yeah, like if I lower my game volume, I can't hear it as well. But like, so if your chat's like game's too loud, you're like, okay, I'm going to turn it down, but then you can't hear the footsteps in the game anymore. So you're going to, get killed in Call of Duty or whatever. So with Wavelink, you can increase the volume just on what you hear. And so you have the mix for what the way that your community likes to hear it, but then you also are able to listen to how you want to hear it. And so that's really strong for live content creation.
Yep, and that's what Wave XLR gives you. So you get high quality gain that can power virtually any microphone. You get clip guard. You get the capacitive mute button. Oh, you know what the one thing is we forgot to mention? It's in the trailer, obviously, but you get the interchangeable faceplates and the customization there.
Yeah, so I mean, there's something that we can go over a little bit more with Stream Deck, but yeah,
Yep.
so it's kind of like you're opening up like a jar of cashews or something like that. I'm literally going to film that for like the setup video on how to take these off because you're kind of doing this motion. But yeah, so this is what it looks like with it taken off. And so at a certain point, we're starting with Stream Deck, but we're going to move on to this at a certain point. We're going to be able to offer customized options on these, so different colorways, not just on this, but also on the dial, because I'm pretty sure if you just use Force, you can take off the dial as well. And so this is what it looks like, all naked. But yeah, so we're going to offer we don't have this like fully set up yet like we do with the Stream Deck faceplates, but it will be coming, which is pretty exciting. And so like the idea of being able to like mix and match and stuff like that, like like Julian was saying earlier, being able to offer custom stuff is something that's very interesting to us, and we're going to be making some, or we've already been making some like behind the scenes, like some good steps in being able to achieve that, because we've done like custom painted ones, before, like this is a Stream Deck Mark 1 that we did this
Is that the
promotion with
Cyberpunk?
Cyberpunk. Yeah, I love this thing. So like there you were always technically able to like take these off as well, but there are like some extra things in here that made it not as easy for like a user to be able to do it. And so that always kind of limited us. But now that we have this like optimized for that, we're going to be able to do some really cool stuff, either like what we just offer normally, or if we're doing like more partnerships like that. Because what's also cool is like if we're selling that, it's like, sometimes it sucks if like you see a custom product, but like let's say you see like a custom mouse online, they're like, oh yeah, we got this custom game edition, like here it's like Fortnite edition or something, but like you already have a mouse and you don't want to spend another $100 on a mouse. But like if you have like a Stream Deck Mark II, and like it's just like, here's a faceplate for like $10, then it's just like, oh wow, like I'm going to get that and throw it on there, and it becomes so much easier to be able to customize your products this way versus the others. And I'll show you, I mean, should I just show the Stream Deck customization
Yeah, I
now?
think so. I was gonna say let's before, because we've got 10
So
minutes
just
until the giveaway. So why don't we talk a little bit about Stream Deck, because it's
so the-
short-ish.
So this is the Stream Deck Mark II, and I mean, this just builds off of the success of the Mark 1, where I don't have the original stand, but like, the things that, there are two things that people didn't like about Stream Deck, or the two negatives. And one was the stand that it was originally on, they thought was flimsier than the rest of the product. And number two, they didn't like that the cable was fixed, because everybody wants different lengths. So we now have a detachable USB-C cable. So we include a cable, obviously, but you can plug any cable you want in there. And so if you want to go different colors and stuff like that, that's also an option. And then we have a stand that's very reminiscent of like the Stream Deck XL stand. The only difference is there's no magnets in here, but so this just rests right on there. And so then this is the new Stream Deck and how it looks. So you don't have the multiple angles, but like the original case didn't really have that many, or the original stand didn't have that many angles anyway. So this is just a much more solid way to carry it. So now to demonstrate, like just taking it off, like just like the Wave XLR, you just pop it right off like that. And here you can see this. And actually what's kind of cool is, might take a little bit, you could actually take the entire brain out if you wanted to show just like
So you could,
what
in
we done with
theory, print your own enclosure if you wanted to.
So yeah, it could be a possibility at some point. Yeah, so you could do custom stuff, or like, there could be a possibility of us, doing something with this part too in the future. You know what I mean? So like the possibilities are kind of endless here on what we can end up doing. which is really exciting. But then yeah, so I have like a navy faceplate here, and so I haven't actually tested this one because this is like a prototype thing when we're just looking at colors. But now I've got this navy faceplate with a black bottom.
And that's
And
really
then
like it's all key to Stream Deck's story, right? Because Stream Deck with the LCD keys, it's all about customizing, making it yours. And so with these faceplates on the Stream Deck Mark II and on the Wave XLR, we want to ensure that you guys are able to, get something that
yeah,
you can
I tweeted
customize it,
something
make
like
it
that
like
earlier.
yours.
I was like, it's the same customizability in software, but now the customizability in the hardware to match, So it's like very much like coming around full circle.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, cool. I think so we've covered every product now besides and it's not really a product per se, but we've got the studio configurator as well. Um
Yeah.
and that is another really really cool addition to our like lineup of what we offer now. Um if you go to, I believe the link is elgato.com/studio, you can check that out. We'll go into that a little bit, but I think it's time for the giveaway. What do you say? Should we
Yeah.
get that going? So,
Absolutely. Today.
as a quick reminder to everyone, we're currently live on Twitch and YouTube. However, due to various reasons, we can't do the giveaway on YouTube. So, if you'd like to enter the giveaway, hop on over to twitch.tv/Elgato, and there's a keyword to enter, which I believe is create better,
One word.
all one
Yep.
word. And let me see here. Let me check if the team is
And
ready.
again, so we've got everything in here. Got the little insets for the Facecam USB, the Wave USB, and then the Stream Deck USB. Then we got the products all here, all nice and protected in this custom foam. And then the outside just looks really dope too. I'll show this one more time.
So now that I've mentioned it, we're going to give you guys a couple more minutes here to make sure you've hit the keyword.
And again, we will when we talk to you, we'll get your name so we can customize your case here. Or if you don't prefer customization, we also have an alternate design we can put there for you. It's up to you, honestly.
And so what do you get again in this Ultimate Streaming Starter Kit Bundle doohickey? Ultimate Creator Starter Kit. There it is.
You get a Stream Deck Mark II.
Let's see. Maybe I can.
An Elgato Facecam. It's like, hey, Facecam, would you like to speak into the mic? And then you have the Elgato Wave 3 microphone. So basically everything you need to basically start your streaming career. So pretty awesome.
All right, so we'll give it one more minute, guys. Again, the keyword is create better. That's what our event is all about today, is enabling and creating. We create the tools so that you guys can create better.
Yeah, I mean, I've always kind of described like Elgato's job is to get the hell out of your way. Cause like, when you're doing live streaming, you are the technical director, you're the graphics coordinator, you're the marketer, and you're the on-air talent, right? And so taking as much of the technical lift off of your side as possible, just so you can focus on interacting with your community and just creating content, that's our goal, is so you don't get gummed up in the works, like fiddling with like software, hardware issues. So you can just say like, okay, I'm just going to be able to create the content I want to do,
Yep. And I think that's been enough time at this point. So drum roll, just imagine a drum roll in your head. And Brito, would you like to go ahead and
So
pick
you're gonna
a
be like,
winner?
Burrito's the winner, and all of a sudden
Yeah.
be like, rigged.
I'm the
rigged."
winner. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for playing. Now, let's see. And the winner is Mido Kite. Mido Kite. Are you in chat? Oh,
So
wow.
I believe
Already
our
replied.
producers-
Wow.
Oh,
Okay.
we're good. Okay.
That was quick. I feel you, man.
So as long as our producers, who are not actually in my ear, I'm just talking with Phil right now. As long as we're okay and everything's good, I think we found the winner then.
Awesome. Well, congratulations, Mido Kite, on winning the Ultimate Creator Starter Bundle with a Stream Deck Mark II, Facecam, and a Wave 3. I hope you put that to good use.
Yeah.
And so here's a question, guys. we're technically, we had planned on just streaming until, or chatting with you guys until 3 p.m. Pacific today, which is we're right at that time now. However, we also thought maybe we could go on a little bit longer. So maybe if we could also get our awesome stream producers to create a poll, would you guys like us to stream for like another maybe 30 minutes or so, 30, 45 minutes, and just we'll do some rapid fire questions. We'll just take them in and just go. Could be any product, could be anything. Ideally ones that, we announced today, but
Somebody said that I don't want that. Like I said, I got a fridge full of Red Bull. I can go all night. I can see the future.
yeah. So yeah, maybe we can throw up a poll. Keep streaming, yes or no. And then I think another question that I have for you guys. So while you're taking the time to answer that, now that you've been here, you watched the premiere, you've seen all the trailers, what's your favorite product that we announced today? Is there one that stood out to you? Is there something, did we launch what you hoped for? Or is there also something where you're like, I wish it was this? Let us know in the
I mean,
chat.
I saw people wanting bubbles, wanted the Elgato hot tub. They wanted
Bubble gun could, one of those little things that could be fun. Maybe April Fools. You never know. We'll do something.
an
No.
Elgato fridge would be kind of dope. Although to be honest, like I don't know if I'm gonna be able to
Xbox
deal with
has
three,
that
'cause
unlocked though.
I need to get that Xbox fridge. I'm just like so scared that it might be like limit. You know what I mean? I don't want that to be like super difficult to like actually buy. You know what I mean? But I feel like with everything, like, am I gonna have to trade somebody like an Nvidia card for, to get an Xbox fridge? I don't know. But like an Elgato one, where if we could press a Stream Deck and we could like have like a little like can shoot that would just like send a can out to your desk, that'd be pretty dope.
I think we've had Sacriel, the streamer, he mentioned having a teapot that you could control via Stream Deck. So an integrated teapot.
Well, we did that video with the coffee pot. Vanessa got that little single
right.
cup coffee maker that you could activate with Stream Deck, which is pretty dope. What's his why am I blanking on his name? Starts with an S. Stoda. Stoda had a really great thing where he's like, this is my tea time button on my Stream Deck. When I press this, I'll get tea. Basically, he programmed the key light in the other room where like his girlfriend was to basically say like if it flashed to me, and then like in the video, I think she gave him like the dirtiest look ever, and he's like, oh no, this
That's
feature
pretty
backfired.
good. So I think the overwhelming answer is I think we have 80% of people are saying yes, continue streaming. So
Keep
I
the
think we
party
can
going.
I think we can do that. But I'm being told to remind you guys about all of our various social channels where you can hang out. So obviously we've got Twitter, we've got Twitch here. We have our Discord. So if you guys, we have the Elgato Discord where we've got various different channels to talk about the different products, different features. If you guys have ideas or just want to see different people set up stuff like that, you can do that in our Discord. We've got a subreddit, reddit.com/r/Elgato. Again, same thing there. Hang out, talk about the products, and I think, is that all of them? I think that's all of them. But yeah, we'd love to see you guys around, see you guys there. We also do like exclusive things. I think on the Discord, we do game nights every now and then. We also do like exclusive giveaways. So if you're a member of the Discord server, you might have a chance to win something over there. So
I'm seeing some great questions here, by the way. I like scrolled up so we wouldn't lose them. I don't know.
yeah, that's why I'm thinking we're just doing rapid fire. Like we
Yeah.
just let's just go.
Like,
Let's do it. So
somebody's saying, I wish there was some controllable RGB strips from Elgato. We got you. That was like a month or two ago. Elgato light strip, look it up. It's $59.99. They're dope. That's what I'm using right now. These are RGB.
I think I should tell you that wasn't a month or two ago. Wasn't that like 6 months ago? At this point,
was it that long? Time is flying by. I feel like it wasn't.
Yeah.
I have no idea at this point. Time has no meaning. Can the mic arm be used with any microphone or just the wave? Our mic arms are completely universal with 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch, 5/8 inch microphones. They have the best weight range of any microphone arms on the market. So definitely universal there. Um, let's see. Somebody was asking if Camera Hub has flashback recording. So Camera Hub does not have virtual camera features or anything like that. What this software will become is like, obviously we work on innovating and iterating on all of our software products. Like if you own a Stream Deck from 2016 at this point, or was it 2017? I think it was 2017.
I think 2017. Yeah.
Obviously the software between when we first launched to now is like night and day, but then you could still like take advantage if you bought Stream Deck day one. Real like the difference between a Stream Deck from day one to now with the Mark II is just the faceplates and the USB cable and the stand, right? But the software integration is all the same. So, what this grows into, like there's still a lot of ideas we have going on right now. A lot of great possibilities there, but right now there's no flashback recording because there's no recording function to speak of in the software right now, or virtual cam stuff to speak of right now.
But
Um,
you can record obviously with something like OBS or XSplit or even the
For sure.
built-in camera apps. Those all provide recording functionality.
For sure. I mean, like you can see like my little side here. This is like, you can expand what this app looks like if you want. Obviously, like I have the video that my camera added in another app, so I can't show it on this one. But right now, the purpose of this software is just to give you easy to use, easy to understand controls that are in real camera terms, so you can tweak the look of your face cam when you're using it with other software. Like I'm using mine with OBS right now. So I have it open in OBS, but I have all of my controls here. So if I need to zoom in and out, or if I need to change my shutter speed, I have that ability to do it right from here. And I don't have to go through any confusing menus in order to do so. So yeah.
We are going through the internet, folks. So that being said, the quality there, unfortunately, on the screen capture was a little bit low. But
Sorry.
no, it's all right. We had another, obviously tons of questions coming in. Can the face cam be mounted on the low profile mic arm? Sure.
You
yeah.
can, yeah.
If you want to, you can take off the monitor mount and then plop it right on there and then move it around. That's an interesting angle, but yeah.
It's the high rise one that you might need to throw a little something extra on there just to make it meet the weight requirements. It might, it'll probably still work, but it might just like kind of bounce around more than what you'd want it to, because the face cam is pretty light. Somebody was asking for a Stream Deck XL Mark II with faceplates. If it's one of those things where it's like, if people really like the faceplates that we have for Stream Deck, and then it's like a popular feature that people keep coming back to, that's something that like can definitely be a consideration, kind of across, well, probably not for Stream Deck Mini, because it kind of, obviously, like, yeah, that's like a more expensive thing to sort of implement, and that makes things challenging. But yeah, so it's like definitely a consideration. I'm sure is already kind of on our like interesting things to consider board. So we're gonna see how this goes, and yeah, then hopefully that'd be cool. I'd like that. I'd like to see that myself.
Someone asked. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say, is the starter bundle available for purchase? You can buy all 3 products right now, but we don't have the Pelican cases. These are like custom made ones that are a little pricey to do in like the smaller quantities. And it's an actual Pelican case. So, even if you're just buying like a standard one, those are actually kind of pricey in themselves. So we don't have those specifically for sale.
There's another question. Are we both using Facecam? And yes, we are. So I'm using a Facecam here. If you're curious about the setup again, I've got a massive window in front of me here. It's probably a good like 12 feet wide or something. So I'm actually on auto exposure here, just because throughout the day, the lighting changes, maybe clouds, maybe a little bit of sun, and I don't want to have to constantly tweak. So personally, for me, I just leave it on auto, and this is what you guys can see here. I think I set it down 2 or 3 brightness levels and compensation to help the algorithm just know that, okay, I can, go a little bit lower on the brightness, just because it is really, really bright where I'm at.
Yeah, and also when you wear like a darker shirt, that also like, it can confuse automatic settings to try to bring that up to exposure. So like sometimes you have to help it a little bit.
And so then at nighttime when it gets darker, obviously, because again, it's auto exposure, it'll then bump up the ISO and it'll bump up the shutter speed or down the shutter speed rather to, increase that brightness. But you can also go fully manual, and I believe that's what you're in, right, Jeff? You've got that.
I'm in fully manual, yeah, because I wanted to just be able to tweak everything on my camera. Because I mean, like, I know a thing or two about cameras, so like I might as well apply that to make this look as good as I possibly can, right?
And so then you got those
Yeah.
ISO controls, you got the shutter speed control. You can even, if you want to, do like manual white balance control. You've got all of that. So
Yeah, and then again, like I disabled this for a little bit, but like you can also add the bokeh using NVIDIA Broadcast, or if you want to use a green screen, and it looks really, really good. Like honestly, I was sending around this video where it's like face cam with NVIDIA Broadcast versus my A6100 and a Sigma 16 mm lens, like the one that everybody gets, and like it's so hard to tell the difference between the two. It's crazy.
yeah.
Some speaking of cameras, by the way, somebody was asking if the A7C can work with the Wave mic arm. So the A7C by itself should work well. The mic arm can support up to 1 kilogram, right? So the A7C is probably 0.6, so it's 1.1 pounds. So it's like, yeah, so it's just over 500 grams, right? So long as the lens that you're using is under 500 grams or like a little less than 500 grams, then you would be fine. Yeah, you just want to make sure that your total camera and lens are less than the 1 kilogram, and then you're fine.
So I'm seeing some more questions around like voice effects and noise suppression for wavelength. We did address that earlier. Yes, we are working on giving you the ability to add VST effects, basically, gate, EQ, all of these different things, noise suppression. We're working on giving you that ability. We don't have an ETA. We can't say, oh, it's coming next week, because that's not true. And also, we don't want to essentially put ourselves in a corner like that, because, where these things kind of shift and evolve and stuff can happen. Maybe something didn't go as planned. So we're working on it. It's going to be a great implementation, again, in Elgato quality. It's going to be easy to use and powerful. And yes, it's being worked on.
So somebody was asking if Stream Deck Mark II said USB 2.0, wanted to confirm if this is an error. No, it's USB 2. So like, it's got better compatibility. It doesn't really require much in ways of bandwidth to be able to work well. Like you can throw GIFs on the keys and stuff like that. It actually works great. Like actually, I think it actually works like a little bit better than the Mark I of Stream Deck, even though we didn't like really put like chips in there. I don't know what we did as far maybe the USB-C. I have no idea. But yeah, it works completely fine with USB 2, and you have the ability to put it with more USB ports, which is always awesome.
Yeah. When will Elgato start making pre-built PCs? Well, we work with another company, Corsair, that makes pre-built PCs. So if you want to check out PCs, mice, keyboards, headsets, gaming peripherals, all that fun stuff, check out Corsair.com. They're great, and they'll do that. We make all the creator gear.
Specifically Origin, because like Corsair, I think, is like the components, and like so you can build it yourself. And then I think Origin's the main focus for the pre-builds that you can get, because I'm pretty sure we shifted like the Vengeances and the Ones over to Origin's website, which really great guys and really great customer service. So it's like, I mean, at this point, with like the price of certain components, like getting these pre-builts is actually like really competitive price wise versus like trying to hunt some of the components down, and being able to get some of the amenities like the customer service that Origin provides is like a really nice benefit. And I remember one video where we had the Vengeance PC that Snazzy Labs, who's a YouTuber I've watched like literally like 10 years ago, before he took like a small break. He did like a cost breakdown, and he's just like, I can't believe how like little of a premium there is to get this PC versus like if you were to go on PC Part Picker and do all this yourself, and like these are the things that you get. And I don't know, so it's like worth considering.
No, absolutely. There's also a question that I keep seeing repeated, which is also an interesting one, and that is, how many profiles can you store on Facecam? So at this time, you can only store one. So you tweak your settings in Camera Hub, you change all the sliders around, set it to what you want it to look like, and then you press save. And those are then saved onto Facecam. And so then again, you could use it in a different software. You could unplug it, plug it into a different computer, restart your PC, and those are not only are those like the default settings, but those are also, so if any program says, oh, I want only the default values from Facecam, the ones that you set are those default values. So you're essentially tricking other software into thinking that Facecam, like, it's kind of weird to explain, but you're essentially telling other software, this is my new value, so display
Yeah.
like this.
We
Um,
have some really interesting things that we're talking about implementing on the software as far as profile kind of stuff is concerned. Like there's just like a few levers we can pull there that can be really like I'm excited for. So just obviously got to make sure make sure that like now that like the webcams will be sent out to the masses, that there aren't any compatibility issues with like certain systems. Like whenever you have a new product, you always try to keep an eye out for those things so you can focus your software development efforts on making sure that all runs smoothly versus like going gung-ho towards new features right away. You want to make sure that your foundation is rock solid before you build on that.
mhm.
I do want to answer one question of, can I use multiple Wave XLRs on one PC? So the way that our Wave products work right now is you can connect multiple to one PC and use them just as like straight up microphones or interfaces. But right now, Wavelink software will only work if you have one device connected. So you can unfortunately not use Wavelink if you are using two Wave devices. Something we're looking into, but it's not like a trivial thing. So it's like, don't know what the process that kind of thing entails. But yeah, so Wavelink needs one device connected to
Yeah.
properly work.
Let's see. Are you guys using Wave XLR right now? We are. We're both using Wave XLR.
Yep.
I'm using an RE20. I think, let's see, what is my gain set to right now? I am at 45 decibels of gain. So I'm at 45. I've got clip guard on. I've got wave gain lock on, so that way nothing messes with my audio levels. I don't have any low cut filters, so that's another thing that Wave XLR actually has, which we didn't mention. It's got two low cut filters, one at 80 hertz and one at 120 hertz. If you're not familiar with what a low cut filter does, it essentially, if you imagine like a audio level, like a hertz level, after 80 hertz, which is a very low frequency, what it does is it simply slopes that off and removes it from the signal. The reason you would want to do that is because it can actually sound unpleasant to people on the other end if you have like a super like extremely bassy voice, or there's like maybe a car that drives by and there's some rumbles through the street that travels up into the microphone. And so with this 80 hertz or 120 hertz configurable low cut filter, you can just remove that. And it'll just gradually remove it from the signal so you don't get that kind of overwhelming sound. Or you can turn it off, of course. So I've got it off right now. So you're hearing pretty much the most unmodified sounds yeah, it's completely unmodified.
Yeah. So I'm seeing one question of using a Wave XLR on a dual PC setup. Right now, I don't know if it's necessarily optimized for that. There are features that we're talking about implementing in a Wavelink that can help like improve that kind of stuff, where it's like whether it's you want to use like the headphone out and sending that mix to your computer that way, which you could technically do, but then you sort of lose out on some of the monitoring and stuff, at least having like your own mix. So it's like that would require like a third mix, which is a discussion right now, but again, kind of seeing what that entails to sort of like address the dual PC users. Right now, like I said, our number one focus is the VST support, but then, there's been some discussions about that feature as well earlier on, because we were looking into that feature because it would solve one issue that we figured out how to solve another way. It's kind of like secret stuff. But in any case, yeah, so we're talking about things that might be able to address that those users for dual PC setups. And then one other person asked, which we didn't talk about earlier, does Facecam have a security light that turns on when the camera is in use? So it's a great thing to bring up because our software, and I'll actually show you on OBS if the quality is okay. Our software actually lets you customize it won't show it because it's a pop-up.
Yeah.
So you can actually customize your status LED to always off, on when streaming, aka on when like a program is accessing it, and that I believe that's the default.
Yep.
And then always on, which like if it's plugged in, that light is on whether you're doing it or not. So that's a really cool feature to have because for that keynote that we did, when I do YouTube videos, I use a teleprompter. It just helps me not go into tangents. I need it to like moderate myself. And when I had my face cam in like a little teleprompter contraption, I was seeing the reflection of like the blue light. And so I'm like, ooh, this feature is really helpful because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to do this. But obviously, like the security issue is obviously something worth noting too, that have that ability so when it's active or when it's inactive. inactive. And that also kind of goes, one of the things that Facecam does have is a lens cover. Um, gonna be honest with you, I misplaced mine. My desk here is a little unorganized right now. I was looking for, honestly, I was looking for that power cable for the Canon R800 so I can show what a way we've come coming from this with Camlink, which is what we used to use at every event, to like now the quality you can get with a webcam instead. So like I misplaced the privacy cover, but we do include that with the purchase, which is great.
By the
I'm
way,
also seeing
Electric Kitty, I see you. Your cams aren't lined up in the overlay. Now that everyone knows, and now that I know, it's bugging me. So let me see if I can do this. I think I might have just fixed it. I think we're good.
Okay.
We're good.
The last thing I want to mention is that there are a couple of users I'm seeing that are talking about issues that they're having with products or whatever. The best way that you can honestly get help is through our customer support channels. Like unfortunately we're not equipped to kind of provide that stuff, that support over here. But just, continue to talk with our support teams. I know all the guys over there, they're really good guys. And so, if we can, we'll make things right on any issues that you might ever have. Let's see.
Let's see. Can we use the dial of Wave XLR to control other apps like graphic design? No. So that dial only controls the Wave XLR settings, specifically the gain, the headphone volume output, and the mix ratio between your PC volume and then also your real-time monitoring from the mic. So those are the three settings that it controls. And then the dial itself, you can you tap the dial or you click it to change which setting you control, and then you can long press it to turn on and off phantom power. And in the Wavelength software, you can also configure the LED color. So if you want it to be like blue or purple or orange, and then you can, and then you can also configure the mute color. So if you want to, have it be yellow instead of red when it's muted, you can absolutely do that. And those are also safe to hardware. So Wave XLR also includes onboard storage. So once you save all these settings, like let's say you want ClipGuard on and you want a 120 hertz low cut filter and you want blue LEDs, you can save those. And then even if you connect Wave XLR to a new computer or just restart one day and you don't launch the Wavelength software, then it'll still remember all those settings and your microphone will sound just like it did before.
Yeah. So somebody asked for other stuff about Wave XLR with two of them. So like the way that it works right now is if you have two devices plugged in, as far as I don't know if it's changed recently with new, but like literally the Wavelength software doesn't fire up. If it's still the same as when I tested that before. So like if you're looking to use Wavelength, you don't want that second device plugged in. And then somebody was.
There was a Facecam and ring light question. Absolutely. So Facecam does mount. So ring light has the 1/4 inch ball head inside of it. So you can mount the Facecam right on that and it'll work great. Yeah, no concerns or issues
Great question
on that.
about Wavelength. Does the separate mic mixes work with Wavelength only if you use the headphone out? I have a wireless USB headset. So it's a great question. So like with other mixers, while you are required to use their monitor outs, and that's not even to get like a submix, because as far as I'm aware, our mixing software is like kind of the only one to do submixing, unless I think maybe with Voicemeeter you can finagle something if like what you're doing. I don't know.
It's complicated.
It's very complicated software for me at least. Whatever. But in any case, yeah, so with other software like the Go XLR, I think in order to monitor your mix, even if it's just like the normal mix, you have to plug into their headphone out. With Wavelength, you can choose to monitor through a wireless headset. Now, there is one little caveat. So when you're doing submixing and you're mixing all this stuff in software, it does take a little bit of time. And so that's one of the reasons why we have that our device's power Wavelength software. It's to get the best in class latency. So the latency is only like 20 or 25 milliseconds when you're coming out the 3.5 mil jack and going into wired headphones. Your obviously your mic monitoring, that's lagless, that's zero latency, which is good, because otherwise even that really tiny delay you'll notice it. But like if you're listening to gameplay or whatever, you won't notice it. that does increase if you are going to a non 3.5 millimeter source. So if you're using your a wireless headset and you're outputting to that, the delay is more like, I don't know, 50 milliseconds or something like that. I forget the actual number, but like there's like a slight bump in latency. For a lot of people, it's not noticeable, but if you're like, let's say playing like a fighting game where like if you use audio cues to get like frame perfect hits or combos or whatever, that's something you might want to keep in mind.
I saw another question here on if there's a difference in Wave XLR on Mac and PC, and no. So it's got the exact, and the Wavelength software as well. It's got the exact same functionality on both. Actually, it works even a little bit better on Mac OS than on Windows, because on Windows, if you have used Wavelength or you've looked at how it works, you have to assign outputs to Wavelength from different programs. So let's say you have, I don't know, you have Spotify open and you want to play through Wavelength. You have to go into the Windows software and configure it there. On Mac, you actually just in Wavelength, all the programs that play sound, they pop up right in Wavelength. You just click on it and it's configured. It's really nice.
Like, I just want to say, if you have a Mac, like, you need a Wave microphone, because like to get just to be able to like output desktop audio to programs like OBS on Mac, you can't do that with the Mac software. The only so like if you weren't using Wavelength to do it, like our software supports, the only other option you have is a program called Loopback, which costs $99 for the program. So like you could either pay $99 for the software or pay 100 to 130. Like literally a couple weeks ago, Wave 1 was $99. You know what I mean? And you get that functionality for free, which is pretty dope. So if you have a Mac, I would highly suggest a Wave.
Yep.
Somebody was asking where I got my hoodie. This is a brand called The 100, so I just got it on their website.
So let's see. We'll do another like 7 minutes here or so until 3:30. I think that'll be a great cutoff time. I unfortunately don't have a mini fridge of Red Bulls next to me. So let's see. Can you I am Fall from Grace says congrats on all the launches. Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you, Grace.
Any other questions? Do you see any issues with USB 3.0 extension cables with Facecam? I'm not going to say I foresee issues. What I will say is the likelihood that you're going to run into a problem because of the extension cable is very high. So officially, we do not support extension cables with Facecam, just because we're using a lot of bandwidth, and you know the cable, it just needs to work. There can't be any issues around that. So you can try it, but if it freezes or there's other issues, it's probably your extension cord, and we don't
Yeah, I
suggest
mean, it's a
using
USB
one.
3.0 device, and so I don't know what the spec on USB 3.0 specifies for max length before you like start reaching like attenuation issues. Obviously, just getting a long USB-C cable is probably preferable over getting an extender. Like that would just be me personally. The cable is detachable on Facecam, so that is, you know, you can just get a longer cable rather than using an extension cable. But yeah, so I would look into the specs to see of USB 3.0 to see like what the max length is before you start getting into stuff, because this is an issue that people had with like HDMI for the longest time, because I think
Yep.
past 25 feet you needed red mirror to go beyond that, which was like kind of like a big like annoyance, because like it caused like weird handshake issues with capture cards and stuff like that.
So let's see. Is there? Oh, this is another great question. Actually, is there a software difference between the MK2 and the original Stream Deck? There is not. So you're going to plug that
No.
the Stream Deck Mark II in. The software is going to look exactly the same. For all you know, you're still using the same Stream Deck as before. You're using the older one, and that's actually a great thing about Stream Deck, is no matter which device you use, the original Stream Deck, the Mark II, the Mini, the XL, or even Stream Deck Mobile, the software functions identically between them. The only difference is how many keys you have access to, right? So with the Stream Deck XL, you get 32. With the Stream Deck Mark II or the original Stream Deck, you get 15. The Mini is 6, and then mobile is 15 as well. That's the only thing that changes. The plugins, you know, the music and sound effects functionality, icon packs, everything else is exactly identical.
Yep. I'm seeing an interesting question here that I'm just going to tell you I don't know the answer to, of Wave XLR with binaural microphones where there's two XLR connectors. There's only one
Mm,
XLR connector, so unless there is some sort of middleman device that you could take the two and turn it into one where you can mix them, that's the only thing that I think could work. But like we just have the one XLR jack in there. There's no, we don't daisy chain or anything like that. So you would need a middleman if that product exists. We haven't tested it. That's like a little that is a very specific use case that we did not come across in our development.
yep. Let's see. Where can I get the countdown music? The 30-second video. Countdown music, 30-second video. Not
Oh, you were just using Stream Deck. That was from our Stream Deck library because we have a bunch of royalty-free music on our Stream
yeah.
Deck
So
store.
for this stream
He's just playing
here,
random songs. I don't know if you
not
remember
exactly
what the song
random,
was.
but yeah. No, I was just playing some EDM music that I found, and that's the great part about Stream Deck 5 is all that royalty-free music. I mean, you have access to literally hundreds of thousands of audio tracks. So
Yeah.
that's music, sound effects, uh, super high quality, pretty curated list of
Yeah.
audio. So
So I'm seeing, I don't know if like our producers are highlighting these or people just spending their points, but the highlighted questions are much easier for me to see personally. So I'm
ooh,
kind of favoring those. I'm sorry to everybody else. I'm reading some as well, but the purple ones do stand out.
yeah,
Somebody's asking if Wave XLR works with a USB gaming headset with a mic or just an XLR mic. So you can't, if you have a Wave microphone or Wave XLR in order to power the Wavelink software, you can add any other microphone you want as a separate audio channel. It's just you need those devices connected. So I remember somebody like when Wave first came out, they're like, wow, I want this software. I just want to plug in my Wave mic and then just like hide it behind my desk and then use like a whatever other kind of interface with their XLR microphone in order to do it. Now they don't have to, but if you, so like one of the things you can do is, especially like with Stream Deck to make it easy, I could have like my headset microphone and my main mic as like two audio channels, and then I could have a Stream Deck that like a multi-action that would mute one and unmute the other. So if I needed to like walk over here, I could press that button and switch from this mic to this one. So like you can do some really cool stuff there, so long as you have either a Wave microphone or a Wave XLR to power the software. Then somebody's asking, will there be a 4K face cam? And there's also a lot of other questions like new capture cards or new green screens and stuff like that. We're always looking for the ways that we can like basically iterate and basically help people make the best content. But the ways that we want to do that is if there's ways that we can provide value. So I mean, like if you consider like why we went towards 1080p 60 versus 4K, and it's like with live streaming where like it's so predominantly done in 1080p and everybody's streaming in 60p because of gaming, it made more sense there, especially when you looked at the quality difference between uncompressed 1080p versus compressed 4K, which like there are a couple of webcams out there that are doing like MJPEG 4K, and it's not exactly like the kind of quality that we preferred versus like what you end up getting at a face cam. If that changes towards the future, we can consider those. But if we do something, we just want to make sure we do it right. So the same thing goes towards our capture cards. Like, of course, capture cards are a big part of our company. So we're always going to be looking to like continue making new products and not just rest. Like, if we just wanted to rest on our laurels, we would just be still using the HD60 from 2012. Like, and that's obviously not the case. But like, as far as like any kind of specific things that we might ever work on, it's just like, there's so many different projects that we sort of look into, and like we can't share things that are like a conversation of like this could be cool versus something that what I mean, like realistically we just talk about we don't talk about products until like they're formally announced, because one, doesn't make business sense to, but number two, like things change. Like there are different levels of product development where it's like at any level things can be scrapped. Like I always bring up the HD60S Plus because that product I remember got scrapped and unscrapped like 5 times before that finally came
that's
out.
true.
And so like if we told people like, hey, this product's coming out, or like there's a spec change on it or whatever, then people would be like, this is bull. Why did you lie to us and stuff like that? And we never want to do that. You know what I mean?
So the final question before we're gonna end it here is, yo, Steggy, what is that mic?
This is a Supreme Edition Shure SM58. It is an admittedly very overpriced microphone, but I am a little extra, so I wanted to use that for this stream and for for other stuff. Because like I said earlier, like if it comes down to quality, I'm super happy with my Wave 3. So when it came to like, oh, we should use Wave XLR on stream to like use the other stuff, I'm just like, all right, well, this is what I'm going to use then. Until
Okay.
I can find somebody from Supreme to help me make a Supreme Edition Wave microphone. And don't think I haven't done Photoshops to be like, this is what I want to do. Like,
It's red, so it makes it sound better.
yes, makes you go
Um,
faster.
But all right, everyone. So this is going to be the end of the stream here. Thank you, everyone who watched. We hope you enjoyed. We hope we were able to answer your question. If we didn't get to your question, that's unfortunate. We're going to be doing more live streams. We generally do these every Wednesday. So you'll be able to ask more questions then. And, if you order one of the products that we announced today, I look forward to seeing your thoughts and feedback when you get it. And make sure to follow all of our social channels. If you want to stay up to date or chat with the community and, do game nights, stuff like that, check out Discord. We've got a subreddit. That's where generally I'm fairly active on. You can talk tech stuff over there. Obviously there's like Twitter and Facebook. And then, yeah, I think that's it. So,
And also congrats to the winner. I forget
yes,
the name
Mitokite
specifically. Mitokite. There we go. I was
winning
thinking
the
mitochondria for whatever reason.
Ultimate
I
Streamer
wonder if
Bundle.
yes, congrats on that. Yeah, we'll get your information so we can get your name or your gamer tag or whatever you want printed on that little panel on the custom case, and we'll get that as soon as possible to you.
All right, everybody. So thanks again, and we hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Bye.
Bye.